Chapter 381. My students cannot be bullied. Is there something wrong with him? Lin Ruoqian was the clan head of the #1 clan of Qianwu Kingdom, a 3-star formation master, and a half-Shizuan expert. Of the 13 countries, everyone would bow to him in utmost respect, not even daring to breathe loudly for fear of incurring his wrath. Yet, not only did this fellow pummel his son and an elder of the clan, he even came here to settle the score, saying that he wanted to return justice to the world. The heck? I should be the one settling the score with you. What the heck are you here for? Liu Cheng, you rascal, I will make you regret your actions. Did you think that our Lin clan is something you can play with? Let me tell you, our Lin clan has never feared anyone before. Since you are so anxious to die, I'll grant your wish. With a face completely stiffened with anger, Lin Ruoqian prepared to head out to see what the other party was up to when a voice so loud that it echoed throughout the entire capital sounded. The head of the Lin clan, whoever you are, hurry up and get out here to apologize. Otherwise, don't blame me for getting nasty. A voice seething with rage boomed across the lands. The heck? Who the heck is that? He must be insane to dare to pick a fight with the Lin clan. To be so disrespectful to the Lin clan. What's going on? Hearing the deafening voice, everyone was scared out of their wits. Openly provoking the Lin clan? Who could that brazen fellow be? Isn't he being too gutsy? Get nasty with his meager ability? Isn't he afraid of biting his tongue bragging like that? He must be tired of living. The declaration outside sent the Lin clan's hall into an uproar. The eyes of the elders turned red with fury, and they were about to faint from anger. Ever since the Lin clan's rise to power, when had anyone dared to insult them publicly right at their door? How dare that conceited physician do so? Damn it! Elders, follow me. Let's slaughter that arrogant fellow. Bellowing furiously, Lin Ruoqian started walking outside. But halfway through, he suddenly recalled something and turned to look at the Great Herb King and Hall Master Liao Zun. Hall Master Liao and the Great Herb King. I might have to trouble you two on something. UN. The duo stared at one another. My son and Ji clan's Gongzi were poisoned by the student of Liu Cheng, so there's a high probability that his student might be a poison master as well. It is difficult for me, even as a half-Shizuan, to deal with a poison master. Thus, I hope that Hall Master can help me. Poison Master. If he is one, I would definitely know of him. Otherwise, he probably only learnt some superficial stuff outside. Hall Master Liao nodded as he gestured casually. All right. Leave that little ant to me. It isn't anything much anyway. As the Hall Master of the Poison Hall, there was no reason for him to not know any poison masters in this vicinity. Since he had never heard of the other party, that could only mean that he wasn't anything at all. Thank you. Lin Ruoqian's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly nodded. Actually, what he feared the most wasn't Liu Cheng, but his poison-using student. Even physician Mu Hong was unable to resolve the poison on Lin Lang, which goes to show how dangerous the poison was. Given how Lin Ruoqian didn't know a single thing about poison, there was a high chance he might fall to it as well. Since the Hall Master of the Poison Hall was willing to make a move, then there was no need for him to worry at all. Let's go. With sufficient backing at hand, Lin Ruoqian immediately led the various elders, Liao Zun, Grand Elder, Ji Feng, and the others out. Returning to an hour ago. After stretching his back lazily, Xianxia walked out from the kingdom's book collection vault. After more than 2 hours of hard work, he had finally added all of the books to the Library of Heaven's Path. Due to him overexerting himself and collecting the books too quickly, he felt like groggy-headed at the moment. It was fortunate that he had experienced a significant rise in his cultivation recently, and he had been nourished by the insight energy when he became a celestial master teacher, thus strengthening his soul significantly. Otherwise, he would have definitely fainted halfway through by the violent jolt in his head given the speed he was collecting at. Right now, I am only lacking the books at the Physician Guild and Formation Master Guild. I should find some time to finish those books there before using the golden page. Xianxia muttered silently. He wasn't anxious to use the golden page. It was a one-time consumable, and he wanted to maximize what he got out of it. Liu Laosha. The moment he walked out, Lu Chong immediately stepped forward and clasped his fist respectfully. Mo Xianxia and Mo Yu were around as well, and they immediately walked up to Zhong Xian. It wasn't that they didn't wish to leave, but they dared not to. If they were to leave now, what would they do about those fellows lying on the floor? You haven't sent them back yet. Seeing that the third elder was still convulsing on the floor, Zhong Xian was taken aback. The imperial physicians of the royal palace had conducted a primary treatment on them, but given how severe their injuries were, this primary treatment was only sufficient to prevent their injuries from worsening. Send them back. Mo Xianxia scratched his head. You didn't say how we should go about settling this. How do we know what we should do? Sending them back was no different from declaring war on the Lin clan. There would be no retreat if they were to do so. We can't possibly leave them to die here. Shaking his head casually, Zhong Xian turned his attention from the wounded to Lu Chong and said, You should be able to tell me about your enemies now, right? For fear of implicating his teacher, Lu Chong beat around the bush when Zhong Xian asked him the last time. However, since Zhong Xian was already involved in the matter, it should be all right for Lu Chong to explain the entire happenings already. Upon hearing his question, Mo Xianxia and Mo Yu's attention was piqued. They also wanted to know what in the world happened that made this fellow beat up even the young master of the Lin clan. Yes. Knowing that there was no use hiding it any longer, Lu Chong finally nodded and explained, Actually, my name is not Lu Chong but Chu Chong. I am the young master from Qianwu Kingdom's Chu clan. Chu clan? The Chu clan whose entire clan of 137 people was killed 2 years ago? They still have an offspring alive. Glancing at one another, Mo Xianxia and Mo Yu were filled with shock. Yes, I managed to survive that ordeal. With reddened eyes, Lu Chong gritted his teeth. You two know about this matter as well. Zhong Xian frowned. Could it be that the royal family colluded with the Lin clan and helped to conceal the matter? We do, but we had no choice then. Lin Long, Lin Lang's elder sister and the princess consort of Shenyuan Kingdom, issued an order personally, and a Zhizuan realm expert came personally to destroy the entire clan. At this, the usually calm emperor couldn't help but take in a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. There were many seniors and children in the mix. After the event, I went personally to take a look, and they didn't spare a single person. Everyone was killed in a single blow. Upon hearing his words, Lu Chong seemed to have returned back to the time 2 years ago. Tears began to ripple in his eyes, threatening to trickle down at any moment. He was only 17 years old this year. Back then, when the tragedy struck, he was only 15 years old. For a 15-year-old to see his parents and kin being reduced to corpses, the agony he had undergone was hard to imagine. What happened? Zhong Xian narrowed his eyes. He felt outraged, his blood boiled. Even though he hadn't undergone this kind of pain before, he could almost see the sorrow and despair on his student's face then. If that wasn't the case, how could a 15-year-old child kneel quietly outside an academy for several days straight, all just to gain the strength to exact vengeance? He also wouldn't have endured the torture from the tempering of the poison body and forcefully raised his strength to Xianxia realm intermediate stage in just a few days. I heard that Lin Lang had set his eyes upon the Chu clan's young mistress, Chu Ling, but the latter refused to give in to him at all, injuring him even. If I'm not wrong, his injury was somewhat similar to that of the third elder, and this caused Lin Long to fly into a rage. Thus, she sent a subordinate to exact vengeance on the Chu clan. Mo Xianxia spoke of what he knew of the matter. Glancing at his silent student, Zhong Xian reorganized the story in his head. Lin Lang was probably infatuated with Chu Ling, and he forced himself on her. In the end, the latter accidentally struck his vitals, causing him to become infertile. Having terminated the Lin clan's lineage, Lin Long flew into a rage and sent a Zhizuan realm expert to exact vengeance. Even though the fault is on Lin Lang, they chose to blame the Chu clan for it, killing the entire clan for this matter. Zhong Xian's face was scarily dark. Ever since his reincarnation, it was the first time he had flown into a rage. Raping a woman and going to the extent of destroying the other party's family. In the face of the master-teacher pavilion, how dare they commit such atrocities? Teacher, please redress my grievances. Clenching his fists tightly, Putong, Lu Chong kneeled on the floor. His entire body trembled in agitation. "Don't worry. Now that I know of this matter, I'll definitely find justice for you." Anger burned in the eyes of Xianxia, and he gestured grandly, "Let's go." After which, he walked behind the men who were in the midst of sending Third Elder and the others to the Lin clan. "Guild Master Liu, what are you intending to do?" Seeing the other party walking away without saying a single word, Mo Xianxia gulped down a mouthful of saliva and asked. "Mo, you also couldn't help but look over." "Not much, just seeking justice for Lu Chong." Placing his hands behind his back, Zhong Xian's impassive voice wafted in the air. He could ignore everything else, but he felt that he should return justice to the 137 people the Lin clan killed, and let everyone know that my students cannot be bullied. "What did you say?" Teacher brought Lu Chong to the Lin clan, and he is currently insulting the other party on their doorstep. In Liu Laotia's classroom in the Qianwu Academy, Mu Xueqing stared at Meng Dao in disbelief. The Lin clan was the strongest clan in Qianwu Kingdom. Even her father had to tread carefully around them. Yet, her teacher actually ran to the other party's doorstep to insult them. "Are you for real?" Teacher had always been a calm person. Why did he suddenly commit such foolishness? You remember that Lu Chong left to exact his vengeance, right? Worried about him, teacher asked me to send some men to keep a lookout on the situation in the capital these past few days, and this is what my men just told me. Meng Dao continued, "Those men are my father's trusted aides, so there's no mistake about it." Exact vengeance? Could it be that Lu Chong's enemy is the Lin clan? It was no wonder that fellow pretended to be mute. With this kind of enemies, she wouldn't dare to say anything either. Enemies of this level were even more fearsome than facing the royal family of Qianwu Kingdom. Mu Xueqing felt as though she was going insane. "No, we can't stand idly by the side when teacher is in trouble." After recovering from her shock, Mu Xueqing clenched her fists tightly, and determination gleamed in her eyes. How could they, as students, remain unmoved when their teacher is in trouble? Even if others could, she, Mu Xueqing, couldn't do it. "Senior, we'll go as well." "Senior, bring us along too. Teacher is our benefactor, and now that he's in trouble, how can we wait here idly?" Mu Xueqing's words immediately stirred the entire group. It hadn't been long since they'd met Liu Laotia, but they could sense their teacher's earnest concern for them, and this filled them with respect for him. Chapter 382. Shadows of a Storm. They couldn't remain motionless toward a teacher who was willing to offend the Lin clan for his own student. "All right. Even though we've decided to help Liu Laotia, our strength alone isn't sufficient. I know that everyone here has rather strong backing, so I hope that you all will try to mobilize them. Only then can we truly help Liu Laotia." Even though Mu Xueqing had an urge to charge over at this very instant to help her teacher, she knew that being rash was useless. She would only be a burden. While she didn't have too many classmates, each of them had a powerful background. Taking Meng Dao for example, his father was the guild leader of the Painter Guild, 3-star painter Meng Yuan. The others were the same as well. If they could mobilize all of these forces together, even the Lin clan would be hesitant to lay their hands on their teacher. "All right." Hearing their senior's words, the crowd knew that this was the best solution at hand. Thus, they nodded in agreement. "Let's start now then. Remember, we have to be fast." After instructing the group, Mu Xueqing immediately dashed to the Apothecary Guild. "Jiao Wei, let me tell you some good news." At that moment, in the residence that Physician Bai prepared for Zhongxian, Yuan Dao ran over to Jiao Wei with an excited expression. "What good news?" A beautiful lady glanced at Yuan Dao curiously. At this moment, Jiao Wei's aura felt deep and dense, and one could sense fearsome strength within it. Even though she was only standing quietly on the spot, one could feel an extremely powerful pressure emanating from her. Xianxia Realm Intermediate Stage. As expected of a Grade 4 pill. Using the Frigid Yin pill to further awaken her physical constitution, her strength immediately surged. From Pishua Realm, she broke through several realms to reach her current level. Her improvement was so huge that anyone who heard of it would be scared to death. After the consumption of the frigid yin pill, her pure yin body had been successfully awoken to 20%. Her disposition became even more refined, and her outer appearance looked even more enchanting than before. If she was a rare beauty before, then she must be a fairy now. Even if Mo Yu were to appear before her, she would definitely feel embarrassed by her own form, not daring to compare with her. Those possessing unique constitutions were people favored by the heavens. The moment it was awakened, one would gain overwhelming talent. This was the reason why countless people dreamt of possessing one. But of course, the awakening of a unique constitution was also extremely difficult. There were plenty of people who knew that they possessed a unique constitution, but despite their hard work, even when knocking on death's door, they weren't able to trigger their potential at all. In the end, they could only die in regret. While the Unravel Yin Pill and Frigid Yin Pill did trigger the awakening of Zhao Huai's pure yin body, they only played a supporting role. The main reason was because she cultivated a simplified version of the Heaven's Path divine art. Her pure Xianxia allowed strength to flow through her meridians and acupoints perfectly. It was with this foundation that her cultivation was able to progress swiftly without leaving behind any traumas. If it was anyone else, they would definitely face numerous problems in the midst of their cultivation. That shameless Liu Laosha has met some trouble. Yuan Dao's eyes shone in excitement. After lacing the other party's teapot with poison, he had been waiting for news of Liu Laosha being poisoned to arrive. In the end, he never heard anything about the poison, but instead, he learned of a far larger affair. What trouble? Zhao Huai was bewildered. There is a student beneath him who he never met before, known as Lu Chong. For some reason, his clan offended the Lin clan, and the latter purged his entire family. Unwilling to see his student suffer such injustice silently, Liu Laosha rushed to the Lin clan to cause a huge ruckus. Yuan Dao chuckled. Lin clan? You mean Qianwu Kingdom's #1 clan? Having been in the kingdom for a period of time, she had already heard of the various powers throughout the kingdom several times by now. The Lin clan was an extremely fearsome existence. Putting aside their immense influence, they even had Shenyuan Kingdom as their backing. It was said that even the Qianwu royal family dared not to offend him. Why would this Liu Laosha rush there to cause a ruckus? Right, that Lin clan. He went to their doorstep to insult them, demanding that they apologize. Yuan Dao chuckled delightfully. No matter how formidable you might be, you are just an ordinary teacher. Tongxian Realm Primary Stage, and you dare to cause a ruckus at the Lin clan, whose strongest expert is a half-Shizuan. If this isn't courting death, what can this be? You mean that he went there for the sake of his own student? Disregarding Yuan Dao's glee, Zhao Huai frowned. Despite having just arrived, they have already learned how fearsome the Lin clan was. There was no reason why Liu Laosha would be ignorant of it. Despite knowing the risks, he was willing to brave through the flames for the sake of his student. How much courage did that take? How could such a noble person also be an unreasonable person? Could it be that they have been misunderstanding him all this time? You're right. Not expecting Zhao Huai to be concerned about an entirely different matter, Yuan Dao pondered for a moment while scratching his head. Call the others over as well and tell them of this matter. After hesitating for a moment, Zhao Huai instructed. She was the strongest among Zhongxian's 5 students, and she seemed to have taken the role of the de facto leader of the group, especially now that Zhongsha wasn't around. Yes. Yuan Dao walked out. Not too long later, Zheng Yang, Wang Ying, and Liu Yang arrived as well. Zhao Huai, what's your view on this matter? Upon entering, Zheng Yang immediately spoke up. Clearly, Yuan Dao had already explained the matter to them clearly before. That Liu Laosha failed to remain impartial during the duel between me and Mu Xueqing, but his willingness to stand up against authority for the sake of his own student makes him a respectable teacher. Zhao Huai replied. She didn't have a good impression of Liu Laosha, and she had some qualms with his way of doing things, but the truth is the truth. She couldn't conceal it, and she couldn't pretend not to see it either. Indeed. Zheng Yang nodded. Why don't we go over and take a look? If we were to watch idly as something happens to such a good teacher who cares about his own students, Zhongsha will definitely blame us when he returns. After a moment of consideration, Zhao Yue made a suggestion. Xianxia was exactly the same kind of teacher as Liu Laoxia. If the two of them knew each other, they would definitely see a soulmate in one another. Since Xianxia was currently in the midst of the 2-star examination, there was a responsibility for them, as his students, to stand up. That's right. Xianxia would do anything for us. This Liu Laoxia would also give his all for his own students. We can't allow anything to happen to such a good teacher. No matter what, we have to go over and take a look. Xianxia nodded. Even though their strength was lacking as compared to the Lin clan, they represented Xianxia. Even if the other party wanted to take any actions, they would have to consider Xianxia. All right, let's go. Upon coming to a decision, the others nodded as well. Given how Liu Laoxia was willing to stand up against the Lin clan for his own student, it wasn't surprising that Mu Xueqing and the others were able to fight against them without backing down at all. Such a teacher was indeed worthy of respect. He possessed character and charisma similar to Xianxia. Rash, too rash. Hearing the report from his subordinate, Mo Qianxue was nearly scared out of his wits. As the emperor of the kingdom, every single action of his represented that of the kingdom. As such, when Zhongxian left, he wasn't able to tag along. Thus, he had been getting his men to keep tabs, and upon hearing the news he nearly passed out from shock. He thought that the fellow was only going to the Lin clan to have them explain themselves and apologize, but who could have thought that he would start to criticize the other party at their doorstep, even demanding the clan head to come out. The heck? Wasn't this courting death? Men, gather all of the troops in the kingdom and have them wait for further orders. Gritting his teeth, Mo Qianxue commanded. Nothing can happen to Guild Master Liu. Putting aside the favor he had shown in treating the guardian beast, just his identity as the Guild Master of the Physician Guild made him a target worthy of protection. Besides, the Lin clan had also stepped on his bottom line. If it came down to it, he'd turn against the Lin clan. In any case, even if he were to try to fawn on the Lin clan, it was impossible for them to back down anyway. Yes. A person with a commander's bearing swiftly left the hall. Mo Yu, go over to the Lin clan to take a look. If they make a move on Guild Master Liu, try to stop them. After making a few more arrangements, Mo Qianxue beckoned Mo Yu, and the duo hurriedly rushed to the Lin clan. As the #1 clan of the kingdom, their main residence wasn't stationed too far from the royal palace. It didn't take long for the duo to arrive at the vicinity of the Lin clan residence. Outside the residence, they could see a huge bunch of people gathered around. Taking a closer look, the both of them were dumbstruck. That's Demonic Hands Chen Jianze, the eccentric Xianxia realm pinnacle expert who cut down his enemies' hands to cook and eat. I thought that he doesn't interfere in worldly affairs. Why is he here? That's the guild leader of the Painter Guild, Meng Yuan? Isn't he still in the midst of his painting journey? The guild leader of the Apothecary Guild, 3-star apothecary Hong Yun, and apothecary Mu Yang. The boss of Qianwu Bank. Seeing the group of people gathered before them, Mo Qianxue and Mo Yu were stunned. All of them were esteemed figures that could shake the capital at its core. It would be an extremely difficult task for even the royal family to gather them. Why would all of them gather here all of a sudden? Could it be that the Lin clan has gathered them together to deal with Guild Master Liu? Wait. But there should be no need for them to gather all of these people just to deal with him. A thought flashed through Mo Qianxue's head, but he immediately shook his head. Given the influence of the Lin clan, it was a walk in the park to subdue a single Liu Laoxia. There was no need for them to utilize all of these connections. Father, they are here to help Guild Master Liu. Mo Yu spoke up. Upon hearing those words, Mo Qianxue suddenly noticed that they were all standing behind Guild Master Liu, as though acknowledging him as their leader. In other words, they were here to support this Guild Master Liu. But why? Even if the royal family were to fight with the Lin clan, it would be impossible for him to gather so many people together. How in the world did a Tongxian realm primary stage teacher who had just arrived at Qianwu Academy possess such immense rallying power? Even Mo Qianxue felt faint-headed, and he was on the verge of going insane. Perhaps it could be his unique charisma. Mo Yu sighed softly. Even though she was a proud princess and a genius, She couldn't help but admit that this Xianxia seemed to possess a certain magic to him. He seemed to be able to win over all of the people around him and, as though a rolling snowball, his influence seemed to grow by the day. It would be impossible for anyone to imitate his charisma, not even Mo Hongi. Look, clan head Lin is out. So many elders. It seems like the entire Lin clan has been mobilized. But I guess that's to be expected. After all, no one can stand having a person criticizing them at their front door. In the midst of his contemplation, a commotion suddenly broke out in front. Mo Xianxia hurriedly looked over and saw clan head Lin Ruoqian leading a group of elders out. His face was as cold as ice. Chapter 383. Then I'll beat you until you make up your mind you're Liu Cheng. Seeing the young man standing outside, Lin Ruoqian narrowed his eyes. Given how arrogant the other party was, he thought that he would be a formidable figure. Yet, contrary to his expectations, the other party was only a Tongxian realm primary stage fellow. There were so many cultivators of his level in the residence that he wouldn't think it was a pity even if he were to kill a handful of them. Yet, such a person dared to seek trouble with their Lin clan. Was there something wrong with his head? You're the head of the Lin clan. Ignoring the other party's question, Zhongxian placed his hands behind his back and looked at him indifferently. Teacher, his Lin Ruoqian, the head of the Lin clan. Lu Chong clenched his fists tightly. Back then, when Lin Long sent someone to eradicate his entire clan, this Lin Ruoqian must have participated in the operation as well. Otherwise, how could Lin Long, who had already moved to Shenyuan Kingdom, be so clear of the Chu clan situation so as to track and kill every single one of them cleanly? For the past 2 years, even though Lu Chong didn't take any action, he had seared the appearance of all of the Lin clan members deeply into his head. Lin Ruoqian. Upon hearing that the other party was indeed the head of the clan, Zhongxian nodded in satisfaction. Since you're the clan head, this matter will be much easier to settle. 2 years ago, you killed my student Chu Chong's entire clan of 137 people. Do you still remember the matter? Chu Chong? That little bastard who got away. Lin Ruoqian was taken aback. A young lad from the Chu clan had managed to escape 2 years ago. Due to the limited talent and cultivation of that fellow, he didn't think too much of the matter. Yet, to think that the very same brat would eventually become a threat to him. In less than 2 years, the other party had actually already reached Xianxia realm. However, since the other party had come knocking on his own accord, then don't expect to get away alive. Killing intent gleamed in Lin Ruoqian's eyes. With a slight gesture, a few elders immediately spread out and circled Zhongxian and Lu Chong tightly. Since you're still here, allow me to send you on a journey to reunite with your family. Sneering coldly, the corner of Lin Ruoqian's lips slowly crept upward. Killed an entire clan of 137 people? Clan head Lin, what's going on? Indeed. I've heard of the Chu clan, but didn't they move away? Why is Liu Laoshi saying that they were killed? The kingdom forbids murder, needless to say, purging an entire clan. You have to explain yourself today. Those in the area were all respectable figures. Upon hearing the conversation of the duo, their sense of righteousness was immediately provoked. The Chu clan might not be a prestigious clan, but it still possessed a sizable influence. The news that everyone else had received was that the clan had relocated to another city. Never in their dreams did they expect the clan to be slaughtered callously instead. It was no wonder why Chu Chong's teacher would come knocking. How could anyone overlook such great injustice? Even though they were dragged here by their offspring, they only intended to act as mediators for any conflict that would occur. They had no intentions of standing against the Lin clan at all. But upon hearing this tragic case, their faces immediately darkened. Since the Lin clan was capable of silently wiping the Chu clan off the face of this world, they could easily do the same to their clans as well. At this moment, they felt threatened by the domineering Lin clan. There's no need for our Lin clan to explain our affairs to you all. Gesturing grandly to stop the commotion among the crowd, Lin Ruoqian sneered coldly. The Chu clan had colluded with Qianwu Kingdom's enemies and attempted to assault the princess consort. This matter has been verified, and if you all believe it, feel free to check it with Shenyuan Kingdom. You. Rubbish. Not expecting the other party to slander his clan instead, Lu Chong's entire body trembled in anger. Enough. Since we can use other methods to resolve the issue, let's not waste our time on words. Patting his student's shoulder, Zhong Xian glanced at Lin Ruoqian impassively and said, "Since you have admitted that the Lin clan is responsible for the destruction of the Chu clan, I'll offer you two choices. You can either hand the culprit over and have him held responsible for his own crimes, or have the entire Lin clan die for his sins." Die for his sins? You actually think that you two can destroy our Lin clan? Ha ha ha. As though hearing a hilarious joke, Lin Ruoqian stared at Zhong Xian in pity. Where in the world did Chu Chong find such a lunatic of a teacher? If he had continued hiding, Lin Ruoqian would have just allowed him to be, and he might still be able to continue living on peacefully. Yet, to attempt to assassinate his son and injure the third elder, Lin Ruoqian wasn't magnanimous enough to forgive them for that. A mere Tongxian realm primary stage and Xianxia realm intermediate stage. Did they think that such a lineup was sufficient to destroy the entire Lin clan? Even if Liu Cheng had been hiding his cultivation, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to injure the third elder. Given his young age and the limitations of Qianwu Kingdom, how powerful could he get? So what if the other party was a Xianxia realm pinnacle expert? As a half Zhizuan, he could still easily squash him. He wasn't the only one who felt this way. Even those who came to support Liu Laosha felt awkward as well. To declare he would destroy the entire Lin clan. Even Qianwu Kingdom's royal family didn't dare to spout such words. For a mere Tongxian realm primary stage cultivator to spout such words, where does your confidence come from? Mo Qianxue was also perplexed. Where in the world did Guild Master Liu get such confidence from? He couldn't help but turn to his daughter. "I don't know either." Mo Yu shook her head. During the master-teacher examination back then, she personally saw Zhong Xian achieving a breakthrough into Xianxia realm. It had only been 6 to 7 days since then, and such a short period of time wasn't sufficient for one to finish reinforcing their cultivation realm, needless to say, reach higher heights. Yet, for him to come over here and arrogantly declare that he would destroy the Lin clan. Could it be that he had brought the Steel Fang Howling Firmament beast here as well? As such a thought popped into her mind, she immediately looked into the skies. But in the clear and cloudless skies, she couldn't see any hint of the savage beast at all. The Howling Firmament beast wasn't here? Then on what grounds was he saying these words? Wasn't he afraid of incurring Lin Ruoqian's rage? You mean that you refuse both of the options? Ignoring the bizarre gazes everyone was shooting him with, Zhong Xian gazed at Lin Ruoqian. "Agree your head. Brat, since you are courting death, I'll grant your wish." Before Lin Ruoqian could speak, an elder among the group could not hold himself back anymore. Roaring furiously, he stepped forth. Boom! The moment he walked out of the group, his aura immediately burst forth as though gasoline being ignited. Vigorous Xianxia shrouded the entire area, causing the wind to blow furiously. Xianxia realm advanced stage. It's the 11th elder of the Lin clan, Lin Hu. I heard that he specializes in fist art, and is unmatched in hand-to-hand fights. Out of respect, people have given him the moniker Steel Arm Tiger. His invincible arms paired with his Xianxia realm advanced stage cultivation make it difficult for even a typical Xianxia realm pinnacle to triumph over him. Upon identifying the one who walked out, the crowd immediately whispered quietly amongst themselves. Every single one of the Lin clan's elders were famous figures in Qianwu Royal City. This Lin who might not be as famous as the Grand Elder Lin Dao, but he was still a reputable figure in the capital. He was a formidable person whom even Xianxia realm pinnacle experts were hesitant to cross blows with. His appearance caused Mu Xueqing and the others to subconsciously clench their fists. "Will teacher be all right?" one of the students asked. "He should be. Actually, we don't even know how strong teacher is," Mu Xueqing said. Even though Mu Xueqing's words were confident, her tone betrayed her uncertainty. However, thinking about how her teacher managed to help her to reach Tongxian realm and Lu Chong to reach Xianxia realm in just a few short days, how could a person of such incredible means be weak himself? "Don't worry. If anything, I'm confident that Liu Laosha's strength can't only be at Tongxian realm primary stage," said Apothecary Mu calmly with a deep gaze. He had never seen Liu Laoshi fighting before, but he had the experience of forging a pill with the other party. To be able to remain nonchalant before the forging a grade 4 pill despite the potential threat of an explosion, how could such a person only be at Tongxian realm primary stage? Besides, all of the methods that Liu Laoshi brought up to prevent explosion happened to be within his means as a Xianxia realm expert. If Liu Laoshi wasn't at the Xianxia realm himself, how could he possibly offer such detailed, precise, and accurate guidance? They're going to start fighting soon. At this point, Zhao Ya and the others finally arrived. Upon seeing the sight before them, they immediately realized that a fight was about to start. After walking out from the group, Elder Lin Hu bellowed, and without any hesitation, he charged straight at Zhongxian. Didn't you want our Lin clan to apologize or die for our sins? Fine, then let's see if you have the strength to back up your words. Teacher. Seeing the other party rush forward, Lu Chong tightened his fists and prepared to step forward. There's no need. Shaking his head, Zhongxian took a deep breath and stepped forward. Then, his legs suddenly moved. With his hands still firmly behind his back, Zhongxian's entire body came crashing straight at Lin Hu. Before Lin Hu's steel fist could land on Zhongxian, his body was already struck by the latter's body slam. Pang! Countless rocks flew into the air. Before this Lin Hu could react, he was already sent flying backward. In midair, blood spurted profusely from his mouth. Under this impact of the crash, his dantian broke apart, thus crippling his cultivation. Putong! Lin Hu flew for more than a dozen meters before landing heavily onto the floor. Then, he fell motionless, and it was impossible to tell if he was still alive. However, given that his dantian was crashed and his entire skeletal rack was fractured, even if he were to be saved, he didn't have a future before him. What? A Xianxia realm advanced expert was sent flying with a single strike. How did he do it? Everyone was dumbstruck. They thought that there would be an intense battle before a victor would emerge, and they could make use of this opportunity to gauge the strength of Guild Master Liu as well. Yet, this steel-armed tiger was already sent flying before he managed to even touch the other party. How powerful must Guild Master Liu's body be, and how fast must his reflexes get to achieve such a feat? His strength. Mo Yu was dumbfounded. She couldn't comprehend the situation before her. It was just a few days ago that Zhongxian had reached Xianxia realm primary stage. Yet, at this moment, he sent a Xianxia realm advanced stage expert flying in a single blow. How in the world does this fellow cultivate? Teacher. The one who was the most shocked of all was Lu Chong. He wasn't just shocked, he felt frenzied. It was just a moment ago that Zhongxian taught him the importance of using an opponent's weakness against them instead of relying on mere brute force. Yet, his teacher simply charged forward to strike his opponent with his body? Isn't there something very wrong about this? What about the weaknesses you talked about? What about technique? How was what you just did any different from me? Lin Hu, Lin Ruotian and the others didn't expect Lin Hu to be crippled in just a single attack from the other party. Their complexions immediately darkened. Even though his strength couldn't be considered as one of the top in the Lin clan, he was, by no means, weak. They had truly underestimated this fellow. Seems like he does possess some true capabilities. No wonder he's so arrogant. However, if he thinks that he can pull his weight with just a little bit of strength, he must be deluding himself. Glancing momentarily at the immobile Lin Hu, Lin Ruotian's eyes narrowed as he stared at Zhongxian coldly. The disdain in his eyes from before disappeared without a trace. He was also capable of knocking down Lin Hu with a single crash, but he couldn't do it as easily as the other party had done. Even so, he didn't think that he was weaker than the other party. There were some people who specialized in brawling while there were some who specialized in battle techniques. Lin Ruotian happened to belong to the latter. Why, you still can't make a choice between the two. Despite having wounded Lin Hu severely, Zhongxian seemed as though he had just swatted a pesky fly. With his hands still behind his back, he chuckled lightly. Since you can't make a choice, then I'll beat you until you make up your mind. After which, he stepped forward, and his cultivation of a Xianxia realm pinnacle expert immediately burst forth without any restraints. Chapter 384. Recognized by Wang Ying as an ex-member of the modern society, Xianxia always thought of violence as the last resort. And from the looks of it now, he had no other choice. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to maintain his politeness. Isn't your Lin clan formidable? No one in Qianwu Kingdom means a thing to you? Since that is the case, I'll beat you all into submission. I'll let you all know that there is a type of person in this world that you can never offend. Xianxia Realm Pinnacle. Guild Master Liu is actually a Xianxia Realm Pinnacle expert. No wonder he dared to challenge the Lin clan head-on. With the strength to cripple Lin who with a single body slam, he does have the rights to do so. Upon sensing the aura Xianxia emanated, everyone jolted. It turned out that the other party's cultivation of Tongxian Realm primary stage was just an illusion. In truth, he was actually at Xianxia Realm Pinnacle. With such strength, he was definitely counted as one of the top figures in Qianwu Kingdom. He. Mo Yu's eyes were about to pop out from her eyes. Other people didn't know Guild Master Liu's true identity, so even though they were shocked, that was just about it. After all, while it was an amazing feat for one to cultivate to Xianxia Realm Pinnacle at 24 to 24-year-old, it wasn't completely unheard of. However, Mo Yu knew of the other party's true identity. Xianxia. He had only reached Xianxia Realm a few days ago, so how could he have reached the pinnacle stage in just 6 to 7 days? Every single advancement in Xianxia Realm required a huge amount of time. It would be difficult even for a genius to reach pinnacle from primary stage without a few years of effort. Yet, to do so in a few days. She felt as though her comprehension of the entire world was collapsing, and she was on the verge of going insane. More importantly, he had reached at least the level of a 3-star apothecary, master physician, master painter, 2-star beast tamer, and 2-star master teacher. All along, she had thought that his weak spot was his cultivation. Yet, to think that he didn't lose out in that aspect as well. Mo Yu felt as though she was going insane. It was no wonder why the other party wasn't interested in her. With such talents, a much wider world was waiting for him out there. Liu Laoxia is a Xianxia Realm Pinnacle expert, even above that of Zhong Laoxia. Zhao Yue and the others were shocked. When the other party had broken her sword with a single finger, she knew that the other party wasn't weak. However, she couldn't have imagined that he would be so fearsome. Zhong Laoxia was only at Xianxia Realm primary stage, yet he was at pinnacle. To be even stronger than Zhong Laoxia. It was no wonder why Mu Xueqing and the others were so adamant about guarding his honor. Xianxia Realm Pinnacle? You're indeed incredible to possess such strength at such a young age. However, that's far from enough for you to challenge our Lin clan. Clan head, allow me to teach him a lesson. Xianxia's strength had caused the entire Lin clan to be dumbstruck. However, at this moment, an elder stepped forward. His eyes were as sharp as a knife and as cold as frost. It's Lin clan's second elder, Lin Xie. He's a Xianxia Realm Pinnacle expert. Furthermore, he's just a step away from reaching half Zhizuan. He is ranked 4th in the 10 Great Experts rankings. Given that he's making a move personally, Liu Laoxia is in trouble. The crowd narrowed their eyes once more. Liu Cheng might be formidable, but compared to the 10 Great Experts of the kingdom, he was still lacking significantly. These 10 were the ones who stood out among the numerous Xianxia Realm pinnacles, climbing to the very peak of strength in the kingdom. And this person was rank 4th among the group. His strength could no longer be described with fearsome. Putting everything aside, even the third elder whom Xianxia castrated with a single kick wasn't a match for him. All right, be careful. Lin Ruotian nodded. As the head of the Lin clan, he had to consider his own standing and authority. While Liu Cheng was powerful, he still wasn't worthy of him making a move personally. Of course, having the second elder to make a move first was also to see what kind of trump cards the other party possessed. This way, he would be able to make precautions as well. Don't worry, he'll be a piece of cake. Waving his hands casually, second elder Lin Xie walked up to Xianxia, and with a look of superiority, he sneered, "Lad, make your move. I would like to see what gives you the right to spout such arrogant words and lay your hands on our Lin clan."
You.
Paying no heed to the other party's provocation, Xianxia shook his head impassively. You aren't sufficient. All of you should come at me together. Since he was here to get back at the Lin clan for Lu Chong, and he had already revealed his cultivation already, he couldn't be bothered to hide his strength anymore. With his strength, he was unmatched among the Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivators. No matter how formidable this second elder could be, he couldn't possibly withstand his might. You want all of us to come at you together? You should try to get past me first before spouting such conceited words. Not expecting that he would be underestimated despite being the ranked 4th expert in the kingdom, Lin Xie's complexion turned awful. He immediately charged forward, and his palm smashed directly down toward Xianxia. It's Elder Lin Xie's great split. Many experts have fallen to this move. To think that he would utilize it at the very start of the battle. He has no choice on this. That Guild Master Liu had defeated Elder Lin in a single blow, so he must have felt pressured. That's why he chose to use his strongest attack right from the start. I wonder how will Guild Master Liu cope with it. Upon seeing Elder Lin Xie's offense, graveness started spreading throughout the crowd. While Lin was strong as well, he was far from a match to Lin Xie. Given that such an expert had used his strongest attack right from the start, even the ranked 1st and 2nd Mo Xianxia and Mo Hongyi would have to deal with it cautiously. Elder Lin Xie's great split might be formidable, but this move is only a feint. His true ace is the consecutive phantom kicks. Standing by the side, Mo Xianxia said grimly, "Consecutive phantom kicks." Mo Yu was taken aback by her father's words. Indeed. The great split is an attack with a downward trajectory, and the immense might behind it instinctively made one cautious toward it. However, in truth, it is just a cover for his lower body attack. Mo Xianxia explained. This consecutive kick is extremely treacherous. Back then, when I sparred with him, I nearly fell for his trick. The great split was an attack that came from above, whereas the consecutive phantom kicks was an attack that came from below. The main reason for the imposing might from the former was so as to conceal the movements below. If one wasn't aware of it in advance, even a stronger opponent could fall for it. Then, isn't Guild Master Liu in danger? Mo Yu frowned, and anxiety flashed across her face. Her father was already ranked 1st among the 10 great experts of the kingdom. If even he had nearly fallen for the trick, then didn't that mean that Xianxia was in dire trouble? It's worth noting that the 10 great experts rankings only include those of Xianxia realm pinnacle. As Lin Ruotian had reached half Shizuan, he wasn't considered in the list. He is in danger. It all depends on whether he's able to see through it in advance and guard against it. However, in my opinion, it'll be extremely difficult for him to do so. After all, even though it may seem simple on the surface, it is actually quite an effective. The heck? Recalling how frightening the move was, Mo Xianxia shook his head and expressed his doubts. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly froze. He was on the verge of having his final string of sanity snapped. What? What is this? Mo Yu also hurriedly looked at the fight, and the sight she saw made her freeze as well. For a moment, her mind went blank. Before Elder Lin Xie's powerful great split could strike Xianxia, he was already sent flying by a single kick from Xianxia. At this moment, he was already convulsing on the floor. His injuries were all too similar to the 3rd elder's. A certain essential organ had exploded. With a single kick, it exploded. Lin Xie didn't even get the chance to react before he was kicked. How in the world did the other party do it? No matter what, the other party was the 4th strongest expert among the Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivators in the kingdom. Upon seeing the sight, the crowd suddenly felt a chill within their pants, and cold sweat dripped profusely from their forehead. They had clearly heard the crisp sound of an egg shattering just now. From the looks of it, this famous Elder Lin Xie was probably completely crippled. He had probably lost his functionality as a man. I already told you that you aren't sufficient, but you refuse to listen. Disregarding everyone's shock, Xianxia shook his head. The other party's combination of great split and consecutive phantom kicks was a deadly combo, and it would be difficult for any other Xianxia realm pinnacle to avoid it. However, Xianxia possessed the eye of insight. Before the other party could make his move, he had already seen through it and counterattacked in advance. Putting aside the fact that the other party's strength was inferior to him, even if he was an equal, how could he possibly withstand Zhong Xian's preemptive strike? This is Heaven's Path leg art. Wang Ying was taken aback. When her teacher had imparted her this leg art, he had allowed her to come up with her own name. Eventually, she decided to follow by the name her teacher came up with and addressed it as Heaven's Path leg art. This leg art was created by her teacher, and it was only imparted to her. How could this Liu Laoshi know of it too? Wang Ying, what's wrong? What did you say? Hearing Wang Ying's muttering, Zhao Wei glanced at her doubtfully. No, nothing. With a reddened face, Wang Ying hurriedly shook her head. Liu Laoshi had moved too quickly just now, and she had barely caught a glimpse of it, so she wasn't too sure. Thus, she didn't dare to speak of it yet. Since you all aren't willing to make a move together, then I will. Seeing that everyone had been shocked by that single kick of his, Zhong Xian harumphed softly. Then, with a swift movement, he suddenly appeared amidst the Lin clan members. He was so fast that it seemed as though it was teleportation. Before the elders could take a good look, he had already appeared before them. Bang, 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 bang. The sound of fists sinking into flesh and slaps striking faces sounded screams of agony filled the surroundings. Before Lin Ruotian could react, the dozen or so elders beside him were sent flying at the same time. Falling to the ground, all of them either fell motionless or convulsed vigorously. In any case, none of them were capable of fighting anymore. Heaven's Path. Movement art. This time, Wang Ying caught Liu Laoshi's movement clearly, and her breathing hastened and her face flushed deep red. She wasn't too sure with the Heaven's Path leg art, but there was no doubt about it. This movement art was Heaven's Path movement art. Why in the world was Liu Laoshi capable of executing the Heaven's Path movement art created by Zhong Laoshi? Could it be? A possibility appeared in Wang Ying's mind, and her slender body trembled vigorously. Slowly, her face turned paler and paler, to the point that it was no different from a sheet of paper. It was after Zhong Laoshi left that Liu Laoshi appeared. And after Liu Laoshi appeared, Zhong Laoshi had never appeared again. All along, they had trusted the words of the master-teacher pavilion that he had gone for some test. Could it be that he had assumed the identity of Liu Laoshi to take on the role of a teacher at Qianwu Academy? If that was true, then Mu Xueqing was his student as well? Then Zhao Wei and Mu Xueqing's duel. It was no wonder why he stopped their duel that day, saying that they were being preposterous. It must be that he was unhappy seeing his students fight with one another. He wasn't oppressing them with his capacity as a teacher. Wang Ying's body turned cold. The poison. At this moment, she suddenly recalled she sneaked into Liu Laoshi's classroom with Yuan Dao and Liu Yang to poison his drinking tools, and her face twitched. At this moment, she truly felt like crying. If Liu Laoshi was truly Zhong Laoshi, then their act of poisoning him, that was completely an unpardonable crime. What the heck was this? To think that she played along with Yuan Dao and Liu Yang and attempted to poison Zhong Laoshi. Until now, they still didn't know whether Zhong Laoshi fell for the poison or not. If he really fell for it, then how could they face him in the future? Their teacher had treated them earnestly, yet all they had been trying to do was to do him in return. What's wrong? Seeing Wang Ying's slightly scrunched face, Zhao Wei asked worriedly. It's nothing. Wang Ying hesitated for a moment, but she eventually closed her mouth, deciding against revealing her conjecture. What would happen to Zhao Wei, Yuan Dao, and the others if she told them about it? How would they react? At this moment, she felt so distressed and lost. Teacher. Wang Ying was at a complete loss. On the other hand, Lu Chong, who was standing behind Zhong Xian, had his eyes widened to the brim, and he was on the verge of going insane. When he saw his teacher shattering the third elder's eggs with a single kick, he knew that he must be formidable. At the very least, he should be stronger than him. Yet, never in his dreams did he expect that he was so much stronger. Single-handedly, in less than 2 breaths, he rendered more than a dozen elders of the Lin clan powerless. How did he do it? Even a half-Zhizuan would be incapable of doing it to this extent. If he knew that his teacher was that incredible, he wouldn't have hidden the matter from him. Yo-you! While Lu Chong was overwhelmed with shock, Lin Ruotian was about to go mad. The reason why the Lin clan was able to dominate the entire Qianwu royal city wasn't just because of his strength as an individual, but because of the immense strength that each of these elder wielded. Initially, he thought that given how the other party was just a mere Xianxia realm pinnacle, the crowd would be more than sufficient to subdue him. Yet, to think that in the blink of an eye, all of the elders he had brought out would be either crippled or severely injured. What in the world was this? Liu Cheng, die! Roaring furiously, Lin Ruotian could no longer suppress his rage. He raised his palm and struck straight at Xianxia. Chapter 385. Zhao Ya, your sword. Huala. Might gushed out from his palm in the form of a blinding radiance, heading straight for Xianxia. Zhizuan realm, otherwise known as the 10,000 Ding realm, was the final realm of the 9 dans of fighters. At this realm, one's physical body and zhenqi would reach the very limits of a mortal, and the strength that one possessed would be unmatched by any Xianxia. Lin Ruotian was only a half Zhizuan, but the strength he wielded was reminiscent of a huge river, ceaseless and overwhelming. Before his attack could reach Xianxia, the zhenqi he emanated had already reduced the surface of the stone floor to dust, as though a massive whip striking ceaselessly on it. Having driven the zhenqi in his body to the maximum capacity, a shrill call, similar to a whistle, sounded in the air. Harmonization of breath and blood, emanation of zhenqi. This is the distinctive trait of one who is about to reach Zhizuan realm. Mo Qianxue's face paled. He was the #1 expert among the Xianxia realm pinnacle in Qianwu Kingdom, and he had a deep understanding of the Zhizuan realm. It was said that those who had reached that level would possess blood as thick as mercury, and when one drove one's zhenqi, the call of a whistle would sound in the air. All along, he thought that Lin Ruotian, who had achieved a breakthrough with Shenyuan Kingdom's help, would possess an unstable cultivation, making him of little threat. But upon seeing this sight, he realized that he couldn't be any more wrong. The other party's strength could be considered to be at the top even among the half-Jizuns. Under his current state, there was a possibility of him breaking through the final barrier at any moment to reach the pinnacle of the fighter realm. It was no wonder why he, despite possessing the cultivation of half-Zhizuan realm and the backing of Shenyuan Kingdom, chose to poison the guardian beast secretly. It wasn't that he was afraid of the vengeance from Qianwu royal family, but that he wanted to confuse them. By the time he reached Zhizuan realm, he would be able to crush all that stood in his way in Qianwu Kingdom easily. Even the Master-Teacher Pavilion would be helpless before him then. If Guild Leader Liu hadn't forced him to show his hand, he could have taken that final step within several months. By then, he could simply openly demand the throne and no one would be able to stop him. Scary. Cold sweat drenched Mo Qianxue's back, and he trembled in fear. If not for this Guild Leader Liu charging straight at Lin Ruotian, Mo Qianxue would never have discovered this secret. It was laughable how he thought that as long as the guardian beast managed to survive, the other party wouldn't dare to make a move. Guild Leader Liu won't be a match for him. Amidst his fright, he was filled with worry for the latter. Guild Leader Liu might be powerful even among Xianxia realm pinnacle experts, but he was still lacking in comparison to experts of Lin Ruotian's caliber. Putting everything aside, just in terms of strength, Lin Ruotian should have already reached 9,000 Ding. That would be more than sufficient for him to subdue Guild Leader Liu. Thinking so, he returned his attention to the duo's duel. Incredible. Facing Lin Ruotian's might face-on, Zhongxian's face turned grave. At Xianxia realm pinnacle, his strength had risen to 5,000 Ding, making him on par with an ordinary half-Zhizuan. However, Lin Ruotian had reached the peak of half-Zhizuan realm, making him a difficult opponent for Zhongxian. At the first encounter, Zhongxian could already feel heavy pressure from the other party's might. The other party's zhenqi gushed at him as though a burst dam, and he couldn't avoid it even if he wanted to. Thus, he could only forcefully face it head-on. Deng 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 deng. Retreating 7 to 8 steps backward, Zhongxian's internals were slightly rattled under the immense force. Even though Zhongxian knew that he was at a blatant disadvantage, he didn't panic. Instead, a slight radiance glowed from his eyes, and lines of insight energy slowly drifted into appearance. Eye of insight. But soon, Zhongxian frowned and shook his head in frustration. The gift from becoming a celestial master teacher was formidable, allowing him to peer into the flaws of a cultivator. But it came with a fatal flaw. The effects of the Eye of Insight were limited by the cultivation of its user. In other words, the Eye of Insight couldn't perceive the flaws of those stronger than him, making it completely useless against Lin Ruotian. Forget it. Flaws. Upon realizing that his newly earned talent was useless here, he immediately turned his eyes to his other gift. Who? His mind jolted, and a book appeared in the library of Heaven's Path. He quickly browsed through the book. A moment later, a slight smile crept onto his lips. No wonder his body feels so energetic, he consumed the blood of a spirit beast. Different from the Eye of Insight, the library of Heaven's Path could perceive the flaws in all cultivators, regardless of how high their cultivation was, as long as they displayed their battle technique before Xianxia. The strength, battle technique, and cultivation technique of the head of the Lin clan was recorded in detail in the book. The reason why he was able to achieve a breakthrough so quickly and achieve such overwhelming strength wasn't because he consumed some formidable pill, but because of the essence blood of a spirit beast. Spirit beast was an existence above that of savage beast. Even the weakest spirit beast possessed strength surpassing that of a Xizuan realm. A drop of blood essence from this powerful life form could potentially induce a bloodline evolution in a half Xizuan savage beast, allowing it to successfully reach Xizuan realm. It was through this that Lin Ruotian managed to reach half Xizuan from Xianxia realm pinnacle. On top of that, under the effects of the blood essence, his Xianxia became violent as though a feral beast, and it felt ceaseless as though a river flowing relentlessly. How can I defeat him? Many of the other party's flaws were recorded in the library of Heaven's Path, but not only was the other party's stamina way above that of his violent-natured Xianxia made it difficult to get close, needless to say, injure him. Upon crossing blows with an expert of this level, Xianxia suddenly realized that he was lacking in battle techniques too much. Against those who were stronger than him, his disadvantage became apparent. Be it Heaven's Path fist art or Heaven's Path movement art, all of them were centered around subduing one's enemy in a single blow. His moves could work wonders in close quarters, but if he couldn't approach the other party, it would all be for naught. On top of that, under the nourishment of the spirit beast blood essence, Lin Ruotian's defense had become as strong as a savage beast. It was another question whether Xianxia would be able to defeat him even if he were to close in on him. Perhaps, even when Xianxia's Xianxia was sapped dry, he would only be able to injure the other party. Killing him seemed nigh impossible. In the end, the Heaven's Path battle techniques sapped one's physical stamina and Xianxia tremendously. Even though Xianxia had reached Xianxia realm pinnacle, he was still severely limited by this flaw. Forget it, I won't use the Heaven's Path battle techniques for now. I don't believe that he can sustain his battle state for too long. Having seen through all of the other party's battle techniques through the library of Heaven's Path, while it would be difficult for Xianxia to subdue Lin Ruotian in a single blow, it was completely impossible for the other party to wound him as well. At most, he just had to slowly grind away at his opponent. Even if he had consumed the spirit beast blood essence and reached half Xizuan, he didn't possess endless stamina. As Xianxia's thoughts were flying about the place, Lin Ruotian felt so stifled that he could spurt blood. The youngster's movements were bizarre and swift. The reason why he blasted his Xianxia out as soon as he made a move was simple: it was to prevent the other party from getting close to him and to hinder his movements. Initially, he thought that under his powerful offense, no matter how strong the other party could be, it would be impossible for him to hold on for too long. Yet, he couldn't have imagined that. The other party was as slippery as a loach. It seemed as though he knew of the flaws in his movements and cultivation technique in advance, and with very slight movements, he easily stepped into the blind spots of his offense. His violent strength splashed at the surroundings, destroying the stone floor and blasting the air, but he couldn't even touch a single hair on the other party. In fact, even the emanation of his raging Xianxia failed to touch a hair on the other party. Instead of fighting, that fellow seemed as though he was on a vacation. All of Lin Ruotian's feints and sudden twists were completely useless. All of those traps that any other cultivators would have fallen for was totally ineffective on him. Every single movement of the other party seemed to be well calculated, causing all of Lin Ruotian's attacks to fall empty. It was as though grabbing onto a massive chopper and trying to hack at the only party, only to miss by several millimeters each time. Putting aside how the other party wasn't injured in the slightest, Lin Ruotian was already about to puke blood from exhaustion and frustration. Is this a game to you? We are fighting a life and death battle here. We have already crossed over 100 blows, yet we haven't even touched the corners of each other's clothes yet. What the heck are you up to? Are the two of them really fighting? Why doesn't it seem like it? While Lin Ruotian was on the verge of going into a frenzy, the crowd was struck dumb by the sight. In a usual fight, two cultivators would collide with one another and cross blows. Even if the weaker side could hold on, it wouldn't be able to hold on for too long, especially when there was a huge disparity in strength. But, the heck? What was wrong with these two? No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem like those two were fighting, but dancing. Most of the time, before Lin Ruotian could make a move, Guild Master Liu would have jumped to the side and look at the other party idly. Then, following soon after, the former's attack would land on the spot where the latter was standing before. In other words, even though Lin Ruotian was conducting the offense, in the eyes of the crowd, it seemed as though he was attacking wherever Guild Master Liu was jumping from, as though Guild Master Liu was leading him on. To retreat and advance with such harmony. Even professional dancers don't have such synergy. Could it be that the duo had already known each other, and they were familiar with the fighting methods of one another? But that couldn't be it. Seeing how Lin Ruotian was ready to bite at the other party at any moment, it was impossible for him to be so bored as to intentionally perform such a show before everyone else. It's Guild Master Liu who is seeing through Lin Ruotian's movements in advance and messing with the other party's tempo. Principal Xie said with a grim look. Given that a teacher of their academy was wreaking havoc at the Lin clan, he had no choice but to rush over upon hearing the news. However, as soon as he arrived, this show immediately appeared before him, and a dizzy spell immediately struck him then. To see through the other party's movements and evade to a safe zone before he could launch his offense, rendering the other party's raging might to fall empty. How in the world did he do it? Even 3-star master teachers didn't possess such fearsome abilities. Unless this Guild Master Liu was Lin Ruotian's father or teacher, and was well versed in his offense, otherwise, it was impossible for him to make such precise judgments. But, how could Guild Master Liu be Lin Ruotian's father or teacher? This matter was completely impossible. He knew that Guild Master Liu was a talented person, and bizarre matters seemed to shroud around him, but he didn't think that it would be to this extent. To force the attacks of a stronger opponent to fall empty each time, regardless of how profound the movements were. Just the thought of it made his head go blank. Do you dare to face me head-on? Lin Ruotian bellowed. He was on the verge of exploding. The more he fought, the more frustrated he got. A head-on battle? Isn't that what we're doing now? Xianxia said leisurely as he continued dodging. You attack while I evade, I advance while you retreat. Since you've been facing me all this while, how is this not a head-on battle? Upon hearing those words, Lin Ruotian nearly spurted a mouthful of blood. He knew that if he were to continue arguing with the other party, he would definitely die of anger before the other party could do anything. Thus, flicking his wrist, a sword appeared in his hands. Then, with a slight jerk, ripples appeared in the air, as though a paper had been cut apart. Do you dare to face me in a weapon duel then? Weapon? Sure. Xianxia was frozen for a moment before the edges of his lips curved up. Glancing backward, he chuckled, Jiao Wei, your sword. Chapter 386. Hallmaster, save me. Xianxia had no weapons in his storage ring, and he gave the one which the elder of the Beast Hall gifted him to Jiao Wei. Since the other party had taken out his weapon, Xianxia immediately turned to the lady and shouted, Sword. Jiao Wei hesitated for a moment, but eventually, she still took out her sword and threw it straight toward Liu Laosha. She didn't know why Liu Laosha would ask to borrow her sword, but since she was here to help him, she didn't think too much about it. Huala. As soon as the sword was unsheathed, a cold light immediately shot out into the surroundings. In an instant, Xianxia's disposition immediately changed. For a moment, it seemed as though he had fused together with the sword in his hand, and his aura blasted straight into the heavens, threatening to slice even the blue sky apart. Ding 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 ding. Suddenly, all of the swords in the surroundings released a crisp buzz, as though greeting their sovereign. The buzzing harmonized together to form a pleasant and bright melody. Call of the myriad swords. This is the realm beyond that of sword intent, sword heart. Despite being in his 20s, Guild Master Liu has comprehended sword heart. How did he do it? Everyone trembled violently in shock, and all gazes were immediately fixed on Xianxia. Weapon intent was only the start of a long path for those specializing in weapons. Those who had reached a higher level could comprehend the heart of weapons. Sword heart was the crystallization of one's deep comprehension in swordsmanship, and even experts who had transcended Zhizuan were unable to reach that level easily. Yet, it had appeared from a Xianxia realm pinnacle youngster at this moment, so how could they not be shocked? Sword heart, moving one's sword with one's heart, turning the tides with one's will. Every single movement is a sword art. Having comprehended such a state, there wasn't a single sword user who could match him at his cultivation realm. No, it isn't sword heart. At this moment, Pavilion Master Jiang arrived and he shook his head. Others might not know Guild Master Liu's true identity, but he was well aware of it. Given the talents Zhongxian had displayed, if he were to allow Zhongxian were to be killed by the Lin clan, the Master Teacher Pavilion headquarter would definitely slaughter him. Thus, he rushed here as soon as he heard the news. However, seeing that Zhongxian had the upper hand, he decided to watch by the side. No. Elder Zhu asked doubtfully. Call of the myriad swords, roar of the dragons. That was the distinctive trait of one who had comprehended sword heart. If that wasn't it, what else could it be? Depending on how deep one's understanding is, there are 3 levels to sword heart: primary, intermediate, and advanced. One who has comprehended sword heart will be capable of nourishing spirit into a sword, allowing it to harmonize with one, making it an extension of one's limbs in the truest sense. Even though Xianxia has managed to induce the call of the myriad swords, he has only managed to stir the aura of the swords. He hasn't completely grasped the spirit of the sword yet. Pavilion Master Jiang explained. Sword heart was a realm, as well as a state. It represented the spirit and heart within a sword. Even though Zhongxian's level of comprehension towards swords was outstanding, going to the extent of even inducing the call of the myriad swords, his understanding of spirit was still too lacking. In fact, he hadn't even come into contact with it yet, so naturally, he couldn't be considered to have completely stepped into the level of sword heart. Then, this is. After hearing Pavilion Master Jiang's explanation, Elder Zhu asked doubtfully. If this wasn't sword heart realm, then what could this be considered as? It's partial sword heart realm. Pavilion Master Jiang answered with a grim expression. He has comprehended sword heart, but due to the limitations of his cultivation, he is still unable to grasp the idea of spirit completely. As long as he achieves a breakthrough in his cultivation, it's just a matter of time before he comprehends it. By then, he would be invincible among sword users. However, to reach partial heart realm despite not knowing what spirit is, how in the world did he do it? Even though Zhongxian hadn't fully stepped into the level of sword heart, just reaching partial heart realm was sufficient to fill Pavilion Master Jiang with astonishment. Many of the experts that had transcended Zhizuan had spent their days observing and researching, only to be kept out of the entrance of the sword heart realm. Yet, this fellow who didn't even know what spirit was, to the extent of not even owning his own sword, was able to reach this realm. Just the thought of it was sufficient to send one into a breakdown. If those who specially researched swordsmanship but were unable to achieve a breakthrough in their entire life were to learn of it, would they die from frustration on the spot? Such powerful sword intent. Jiao Wei didn't know what sword heart was, but the sword intent that flurried from Liu Laoshi made her body tremble instinctively. It felt as though a pressure was pushing down on her, leaving her devoid of the courage to even draw her sword. The intimidation from a far stronger sword intent. Those who possessed deeper understanding of sword intent could suppress those with a weaker understanding with their disposition. Suggesting the use of weapons is the most foolish decision you have made in your life. Grasping the sword in his hand tightly, Zhongxian chuckled. Heaven's Path fist art and Heaven's Path leg art only consisted of a single movement, and it could only be executed in close quarters. However, Heaven's Path sword art was different. Having comprehended sword intent, every single move one made was a sword art in itself. Previously, when crossing hands with the other party, due to the might from the other party's Xianxia, Zhong Xian was unable to attack easily, so he could only dodge continuously. However, with a sword in his hand, the situation had changed. He could fight with the other party on the same footing now. Huala! With a slight jerk, the glint of a sword shot across the air, and a radiant sword emanation shot out straight toward Lin Ruotian. "What?" cried Lin Ruotian. The other party had been dodging his attacks before, causing all of his attacks to fall flat. He thought that using a weapon could widen the range of his attacks, making it more difficult for the other party to dodge, thus forcing him up a corner. How could he have known that the other party would have comprehended the heart of weapons? The heck! How could he match up to that? Even though his cultivation had reached half Zhizuan, his comprehension of the sword hadn't even reached sword intent, needless to say, sword heart. With an awful expression, his body immediately scrunched together to avoid the other party's sword chi. Just as he was about to counterattack, he saw another white light flying straight toward his neck. The heck! Sensing the killing intent imbued into the attack, he knew that his neck would be severed if he were to face it head-on. Thus, without any hesitation, he immediately rolled away. Huala! The sword chi struck the ground and a deep gorge appeared. Rock fragments and dust flew in the air. Damn it! To think that a half Zhizuan expert like himself would be forced to roll to avoid an attack. Lin Ruotian's rage bubbled within. In the midst of his roll, his hand struck the ground to provide him momentum to leap up, but at that very moment, his hair stood on ends, and he instinctively rolled forward. Zila! A deep gorge appeared at where he was originally at. Having comprehended sword intent, one would be able to produce an emanation of one's sword and Xianxia in the form of sword chi. Sword chi was incomparably sharp and indestructible by those of a similar cultivation realm. Even though Lin Ruotian was a half Zhizuan expert, he was still unable to withstand the might of it. Previously, he was able to force the other party to keep a distance through his deep and powerful Xianxia. However, before the sharp sword chi, this technique became completely useless. If he were to try to do so, he would simply be cut through in the next instant. Liu Cheng, you. Forced to roll twice consecutively, Lin Ruotian was anxious and furious. He roared furiously, but before he could do anything, another sword chi came flying straight toward him. Sai La. This time, his reaction was a little slow. Feeling a slight chill, his loose robe was torn apart from the middle, and a few strands of his hair fell to the floor. Sensing the bone-piercing chill from the sword chi, he knew that his guts would be cut through if he were a moment slower. Knowing that this wasn't the time to speak, he continued rolling about. This is truly weird. In terms of fist art, Liu Laoshi could only dodge continuously, helpless before Guild Master Lin. But in terms of sword, Clan Head Lin couldn't even stand on his own 2 feet, forced to roll around the area. The Lin clan is reputed for its swordsmanship, and the head of the Lin clan is a famous swordmaster in the kingdom. And Guild Master Liu, as a physician and a normal teacher, doesn't even own a sword. Yet, to think that the swordmaster is more skilled in fist art, and the swordless physician is more adept in swordsmanship. What in the world is this? Staring at one another, everyone was dumbstruck at the sight before them. The Lin clan possessed a heritage of over several centuries in swordsmanship, and it stood at the very pinnacle of the field in Qianwu Kingdom. Everyone thought that Guild Master Liu would lose tragically upon seeing Clan Head Lin taking out his sword. No one could have imagined that there would be such a twist. To think that the swordmaster Lin Ruotian would be forced to roll around the field, unable to retaliate at all. Wasn't he way too weak? It isn't Clan Head Lin who is weak, it's that Guild Master Liu is too strong. A grave expression sat on Principal Liu's face. Under normal circumstances, even if he comprehended sword intent and sword heart, his cultivation is still only at Xianxia realm pinnacle. It should have been impossible for him to throw out sword chi one after another. On top of that, sword chi also has a maximum range. The further the attack, the greater the expenditure of one's Xianxia. A few elders of Qianwu Academy nodded in agreement. Sword chi was the emanation of Xianxia. The further the attack, the greater the dissipation. Putting aside the weaker might of the attack, it took a huge toll on one's Xianxia as well. Look, despite having thrown so many attacks, his sword chi still remains radiant and powerful, causing clan head Lin to be completely helpless before it. This shows that his Xianxia is incomparably dense and pure. Principal Xie continued explaining, only when one's Xianxia reaches a certain level of density can one execute sword qi continuously without fearing it running dry. Only when one's Xianxia reaches a certain level of purity will one be able to prevent one's Xianxia from dissipating in midair, thus maintaining its might.
Indeed. The crowd nodded.
While the crowd was dumbstruck by the sight before them, Zhong Xian's sword was dancing in the air. Clan head Lin, didn't you say that you want to compete with me in a weapon duel? What do you mean by rolling around on the floor? Bellowing loudly, Zhong Xian declared righteously, do you dare to face me head on?
Pu.
Hearing those words, Lin Ruoqian's anger clouded over his mind for a moment, causing him to be struck by a sword qi. A mouthful of blood immediately spurted from his mouth. Madness! This was what he'd said a moment ago. To think that the fellow would bring it up at this moment. Face you head on? To the hell with that. I don't even have the strength to withstand your sword qi. How can I face you head on? With his fist, he was still able to force the other party to dodge continuously, not daring to face him head on. Why did he have to suggest the usage of weapon? In the end, he only made a mockery of himself. For the #1 expert of Qianwu Kingdom, a half-Zhizuan expert, to be forced to roll around the floor. Hall Master Liao and the Great Herb King, hurry up and make a move. As long as you kill this fellow, I'll agree to any request of yours, and I'll even double it at that. After a moment longer, Lin Ruoqian realized that if this continued on, it would just be a matter of time before he was killed by the other party's sword qi. Unable to hold it in any longer, he immediately bellowed. The elders in the clan were already crippled, so his final hope was on Hall Master Liao and the Great Herb King. As the master of the Poison Hall, Liao Zun was a poison expert which granted him the ability to kill even experts above his level. Before him, Guild Master Liu's sword qi would be completely useless. All right, remember your words. I'll settle things with this man for you. Hearing the other party's promise, Liao Zun nodded in satisfaction and walked out.
Hall Master Liao? Great Herb King?
Could they be the Red Lotus City's Great Herb King and the Poison Hall's Hall Master Liao Zun? Someone suddenly shouted, and everyone's faces turned pale. A commotion broke out. Chapter 387. The unreliable Hall Master. The Poison Hall was the fear of all ordinary cultivators. Poison came in many different forms, making it hard for a person to guard against it, no matter how strong they were. Initially, when Liao Zun walked out with the Lin clan, no one paid him any notice. However, upon hearing the shout, the crowd suddenly realized that he was the newly appointed Hall Master of the Red Lotus Range branch. This matter wasn't well known, but some of the clans with a wide intelligence network still managed to grab hold of the news. As the Hall Master, the other party surely possessed the strength of a 2-star pinnacle poison master. Needless to say, a Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivator, even a Zhizuan realm expert would have to wary against his poison. To think that the Lin clan had dealings with such a person. Their hearts immediately turned cold. Guild leader Liu might be powerful, but poison was something much too fearsome. Even the slightest contact could potentially render an expert helpless. Guild leader Liu is probably done for. Indeed. According to the rumors, Hall Master Liao even managed to kill a Zhizuan realm primary stage expert. Given that guild leader Liu is only at Xianxia realm pinnacle, how can he withstand his poison? To think that the Lin clan would have dealings with the Poison Hall. How could they? After ascertaining the identities of Liao Zun and the others, even though the crowd was furious at the Lin clan's doing, they couldn't do anything at all. Before the other party's poison, their overwhelming numerical advantage didn't mean a thing at all. I must save Xianxia. If the Poison Hall really makes a move, I'll immediately send a request to the headquarters to overturn the entire Red Lotus range. A glint flashed across Pavilion Master Jiang's eyes. Master teachers promoted the equality of education. While the Poison Hall was a feared existence, it wasn't without its value. Thus, as long as it didn't go too far, the Master Teacher Pavilion wouldn't go to the extent of eradicating it. However, if this Hall Master Liao Zun dared to lay his hands on the genius Xianxia, then he shouldn't blame him for getting nasty. He would ensure that the headquarter would lead an army to destroy his entire nest. Sword intent, sword chi, and heaven's path sword art. In contrast to the crowd's anger, Zhao Yue's face turned pale, and her body trembled non-stop. Even though Liu Laoshi didn't explicitly execute the heaven's path sword art, Zhao Yue was still able to catch some semblance of it. This was definitely the move that Grand Teacher taught her. How could this man know the sword art that Grand Teacher taught her? Could it be that? A thought suddenly flashed across her head, and she immediately turned to look at Wang Ying. As soon as the eyes of the duo met, the other party nodded. Really? Zhao Yue's face paled further. Only at this moment did she understand why the other party borrowed her sword, and why his face was so bizarre when he learned of her duel with Mu Xueqing. It turned out that Liu Laoshi was Zhong Laoshi. Teacher, careful. Upon realizing this fact, she clenched her fists tightly together. She had absolute confidence in her teacher's strength, but the other party was a poison master, skilled in utilizing what that was naked to the human eye. Could teacher really withstand it? Anxious, she immediately turned her gaze forward. Your name is Liu Cheng, right? I have to admit that you're a genius. Walking forward, Liao Zun glanced at Zhong Xian with composure. However, it's a pity that you met me. He shook his head regrettably. The other party was indeed talented, but what was the use of it? He shouldn't have made an enemy out of the Lin clan. Only if the Lin clan became the sovereign of Qianwu Kingdom would the Poison Hall be able to come out from hiding. Liao Zun wouldn't allow anyone to foil his plans. With a flick of his wrist, a bottle of powder appeared in his palm. Then, driving the Xianxia in his body, he prepared to scatter this at the other party at any moment. Who? Seeing that Liao Zun was about to make a move, Zhong Xian kept his sword. As soon as the relentless sword chi attack came to a stop, Lin Ruoqian recovered and hurriedly dashed toward Liao Zun, hiding behind his back. Kill him with your poison. He roared excitedly and savagely. It was fortunate that he invited Hall Master Liao here today. Otherwise, even if the Lin clan wasn't destroyed, its prestige would have fallen into the gutters. Don't worry, leave it to me. Twisting the bottle of powder in his hands, Hall Master Liao was ready to strike at any moment. Teacher. Anxious, Lu Chong dashed forward, but before he could reach Zhong Xian, the latter shook his hands, turned to the Great Herb King, and smiled. Great Herb King, now that you're cured of your contract GU, your guts sure have inflated. How dare you bring Liao Zun out to cause trouble? Contract GU. The Great Herb King, who was looking at the commotion, narrowed his eyes, and he almost fell weakly to the ground. Liao Zun didn't know the true identity of Physician Bai, but he did. The genius master teacher of the Master Teacher Pavilion, Zhong Xian. He was the one who cured him of his contract GU back then. Very few people knew of this matter. Given how the other party was able to speak of it so confidently, could it be that? One must know that he had personally witnessed the disguising ability of that Zhong Shi. Could this Liu Laoshi be one of his disguises as well? It was no wonder. He thought that it was too much of a coincidence for two grandmasters of the way of medicine to suddenly appear in Qianwu Kingdom. So they were actually the same person. It doesn't make a difference even if you know the Great Herb King. Liao Zun didn't pay the other party's words any heed. Roaring furiously, he prepared to throw the poison powder in his hands straight at the other party. Hall Master, stop. Flustered, the Great Herb King immediately charged forward to stop Liao Zun. What's wrong? Liao Zun was taken aback. The Great Herb King had always been a calm person. Why would he suddenly act in such a manner? Hallmaster, you mustn't make a move. He. The face of the Great Herb King distorted, and he looked as though he was on the verge of tears. Hurriedly sending a telepathic message, he explained the situation. He is Senior Granduncle. Senior Granduncle. Hallmaster Liao's kneecap suddenly caved in, and he nearly kneeled on the spot. Senior Granduncle. That was a formidable figure who even Envoy Jiu Mu had to show utmost respect to. The reason why he could successfully become the Hallmaster was also due to the help of this Senior Granduncle. And this man before him was him? He nearly spewed a mouthful of blood.
Are you sure?
With a trembling body, he hurriedly asked telepathically. If the other party was really that man, and he tried to use his poison powder to kill him, once envoy Gu Mu learns of it, he would skin him alive. There's no doubt about it. Nodding profusely, the great Herb King was just about to continue explaining when the voice of the young man before them sounded once more. Hall Master Liao, where's Gu Mu? Has he tamed the lava beast completely yet? Putong. If he still wasn't too sure before, upon hearing these words, Liao Zun suddenly felt an urge to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Only 3 people knew of the lava beast Gu Mu, him, and senior granduncle. Given that Gu Mu had returned to Shenyuan Kingdom, and he had never told anyone about it, the man before him had to be senior granduncle. There was no doubt about it. Hall Master Liao, don't listen to the nonsense of that fellow. Hurry up and kill him. Seeing Hall Master Liao hesitate, Lin Ruotian hurriedly urged him worriedly. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly saw a jade bottle fly toward him. Pang! Before it could reach him, the bottle exploded, causing the poison powder to scatter all over him. Upon contact with his skin, an intense itch suddenly plagued Lin Ruotian's entire body. At the same time, he felt as though his meridians were being torn out. The intense pain made him burst into rage. Hall Master Liao, you! He roared furiously. What are you up to? I told you to kill Liu Cheng. What are you doing throwing it at me? Pah! Before he could recover from his astonishment, a stinging pain struck his face. Someone had slapped him. His body swayed, and he fell to the ground. Large mouthful of blood spewed out from his mouth, and a few white teeth could be seen within the red puddle. Vermin, I'll kill you. Just as he was in a daze over who would be so daring as to lay his hands on him, he saw Hall Master Liao charging straight up to him with crimson eyes clouded with rage. Bang, 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 bang. Hall Master Liao was truly incensed. If he had really made a move on senior granduncle today, putting aside his seat as the Hall Master, he might even die tragically. It was all the fault of this vermin. He would never be able to quell the rage in his heart if he didn't kill this vermin at this very moment. What? What is going on? Looking at the infuriated and frenzied Hall Master Liao, the crowd, who was intending to step in and help, were stunned. This was especially so for Pavilion Master Jiang and Principal Xie. Wasn't Hall Master Liao specially invited by clan head Lin to help? Didn't he arrogantly declare that he would kill guild leader Liu? Why would he renege on his words the next moment, and start pummeling Lin Ruotian? Clan head Ji, who was hiding at the very back, nearly died from a stroke upon seeing the sight. Can anyone tell me what the heck is going on? Why would Hall Master Liao, who had confidently assured Lin Ruotian a moment ago, suddenly become so mad? That was Lin Ruotian, a half-Jizuan expert. To be pummeled like that. The heck? It is fortunate that I didn't step forward just now. Otherwise, I'd be probably in a worse shape. Lin Ruotian's strength was originally above that of Liao Zun, but caught off guard and poisoned, how could he still match up to the latter? Completely helpless before the latter's pummeling, his face swelled up, and the remaining traces of humanity was beaten out of his face. Enough! Seeing that Lin Ruotian was on the verge of dying under the pummeling, Zhongxian hurriedly waved his hands. Yes. Liao Zun stopped and stood in front of Zhongxian with a fawning smile on his face. That. Senior granduncle, please pardon my blindness to fail to identify your greatness. Where did that bunch of nonsense come from? Go and wait by the side. Frowning, Zhongxian reprimanded. Why would the men from the Poison Hall come here instead of staying peacefully at their Red Lotus range? To dream of usurping power, they were tired of living. Yes. Seeing that the other party had no intentions of pursuing this matter, Liao Zun heaved a sigh of relief, and he quickly walked to the side, not daring to say a word at all. Hall Master Liao went to stand by the side, as though an obedient student, after being reprimanded by teacher. Mu Xueqing and the others blinked, and their hands tugged on their hair in frenzy. They thought that Liu Laosha would surely lose in the battle against the Lin clan, thus they begged with the elders in their clans to support him. Yet, before these supporters they had brought could do anything, Liu Laosha had already sent the entire clan to its knee. Even the half-Zhizuan, Lin Ruotian, wasn't a match at all. They could comprehend it if Liu Laosha was strong, but this master of the poison hall was a figure that instilled fear in all. Why would he suddenly become an obedient rabbit before their teacher, obediently following what their teacher asked him to do? And why would he pummel Lin Ruotian? Doubts flashed in the eyes of the crowd. Damn it, damn it. Just as everyone was perplexed, a roar sounded. Looking forward, Lin Ruotian had struggled to his feet, and a savage light glowed from his eyes. Liu Cheng, you are the one who forced me. I didn't want to use this because it's a huge waste, but, since you don't intend on letting me off, I'll have all of you die here. Roaring furiously, two surge of Xianxia shot out from his two hands. Wang! A mist suddenly drifted into appearance, and a formation was activated. This. The grade 3 pinnacle killing formation that Princess Consort Lin Long left behind back then? This time. We're really done for. Mo Qianshue's body trembled. Chapter 388, Formation Destroying Kick in order to protect her own family. That legendary princess consort once requested for a grade 3 pinnacle formation from Shenyuan Kingdom's Formation Master Guild to protect the Lin clan residents so that the clan could be everlasting. It was precisely because of this that even though the guardian beast had managed to reach the Zhizuan realm, Mo Qianshue didn't dare to do anything out of fear. Initially, he was still praying that perhaps no one here was capable of activating this formation. How could he have known that not only was Lin Ruotian capable of activating it, he was even able to do it in an instant, thus shrouding all of them in it? This was a grade 3 pinnacle killing formation. Different from the confinement formations, those who were trapped in the formation would be attacked by all kinds of bizarre attacks. At grade 3 pinnacle, even a Zhizuan realm expert could easily die under the onslaught of the formation. Ha, all of you, die. As soon as the formation was activated, it seemed as though countless menacing sharp blades had appeared in the air, threatening to fall from the skies at any moment and eliminate all within the area. Lin Ruotian's eyes reddened, and he roared in excitement. This formation was the one which his daughter, Lin Long, left behind to guard the Lin clan. It could only be used once, so Lin Ruotian was determined not to use it unless the Lin clan was in a desperate situation. He was unable to cope with Liu Cheng already, and now that Hall Master Liao had gotten involved as well, he knew that it would be impossible for him to withstand their combined might. Thus, without any hesitation, he immediately activated it. Didn't you all want to kill me? All right then, I'll have all of you die here. A grade 3 pinnacle formation was a formation that could trap and kill even a Zhizuan realm pinnacle expert. No matter how powerful you are only a Xianxia realm cultivator. Death is all that awaits you. Finished. To think that I would die due to my curiosity. The Lin clan actually had this kind of trump card. No wonder the royal family was reluctant to make a move on them. At least we are dying to a powerful formation like this. Despair appeared on the faces of the people trapped in the formation. Formation Master was an occupation at the forefront of the upper 9 paths. The might of a formation in operation was unimaginable. Once trapped, they could only wait for their deaths. Pavilion Master Jiang, you have some understanding of formations. Can't you bring us out? Someone shouted. Everyone immediately turned their gazes to Pavilion Master Jiang, as though seeing their savior. On top of being a 2-star master teacher, Jiang Shu was a 2-star formation master as well. It was possible that he could have a solution to this crisis. I am helpless as well. This formation is way beyond my level of understanding. Shaking his head, Jiang Shu smiled bitterly. He was just a 2-star formation master. There was nothing he could do in the face of a formation of this level. Then, we're really doomed. Hearing that even Pavilion Master Jiang was helpless before it, the crowd felt despair. Only a 3-star formation master is capable of deciphering a grade 3 pinnacle formation. You all? Don't even dream about it. Watching their panic and despair, Lin Ruotian howled frenziedly. However, before he could finish his words, a voice suddenly interrupted. Only a 3-star formation master can decipher this formation? I don't think that's necessarily the case. The voice was exceedingly calm, and it contrasted greatly to the panic in the surroundings. Hurriedly turning their gazes over, They saw that the one who spoke was Guild Master Liu. The youngster simply shook his head, walked forward, and kicked into empty air. Wang! The air suddenly froze, and the fleeting mist, as well as the blades above them, suddenly stopped. The formation had been stopped. As though he had only done something insignificant, Zhong Xian clapped his hands and said, "See, didn't I just decipher it?" "You!" The smile on Lin Ruoqian's froze, and his eyes slowly widened. His body swayed, and he nearly failed to catch his breath. That was a grade 3 pinnacle formation. Even 4-star formation master wouldn't be able to stop it as casually as he did. To do it with a single kick. The heck? Where is the fairness in the world? Back then, when Grand Elder Lin Dao said that this Guild Master Liu was capable of stopping formations with a kick, he thought that it could just be a coincidence. Perhaps the other party was familiar with the confinement formation used to trap the gold-tailed lion. But this one, even Lin Ruoqian himself only deciphered it halfway. The only reason why he could activate it was because he had control over the core of the formation. If he could lay out such a formation himself, he wouldn't have hesitated to activate it earlier. For a physician, an amateur, to stop it with a single kick. Lin Ruoqian's body convulsed, and he nearly tore out his hair. This. The formation stopped. It was stopped with a single kick. Pavilion Master Jiang also felt his head turning blank. Even a Zhizuan realm expert could easily die in a grade 3 pinnacle formation. To stop it with a single kick. Painter, apothecary, beast tamer, master teacher, physician. And it turned out that he was a formation master on top of that. Brother, you should just tell us what there is in the world that you don't know so that we can prepare ourselves mentally. Another kick again. Mo Xianxia and Mo Yu glanced at one another and shuddered. Was this really a formation that could kill even a Zhizuan? Why did it seem no different from a toy? How in the world did he do it? Right, I have to escape. While the crowd was overwhelmed with shock, Lin Ruoqian finally recovered. Gritting his teeth, he immediately darted into the residence. No matter how foolish he might be, it was already clear that the tides had changed. The best he could at the moment was to preserve his own life. He had to inform the princess consort of this matter as soon as possible so that she could send her men over. Otherwise, the Lin clan would truly be destroyed today. Who? Darting into the residence, he immediately triggered the formation within. A mist immediately floated into appearance, shrouding the entire Lin clan. As the base of the Lin clan, it was impossible for it to be guarded with just a single formation. However, given how easily the strongest formation laid had been broken, all this formation could do was to delay his enemies. But of course, this little time meant a lot to him under the current situation. You wish to escape when you haven't apologized yet. Seeing the other party scrambling back into the residence, Zhong Xian shook his head. I've already said it. If you don't apologize, I'll beat you until you apologize. Lu Chong, charge in. Returning the sword back to Zhao Yue, Zhong Xian chuckled softly. He walked up to the residence and kicked at a certain spot once more. Wang! The formation shrouding the residence stopped. The teacher and student entered. Wait for me. With the departure of the duo and the bizarre gazes of the crowd, how could Hall Master Liao Zun and the Great Herb King dare to remain here? They immediately dashed into the residence as well. As the commotion came to an end, silence loomed over the entrance of the Lin clan residence. Looks like the Lin clan is done for. Looking at the convulsing elders who were lying on the floor and Lin Ruoqian who had escaped without any hesitation, the crowd was still in a daze. Back then, when their children and juniors pleaded with them, they thought that this Liu Laosha was being a little too rash arguing with the Lin clan. Only now did they realize how hilarious their thoughts were. Single-handedly, he managed to crush the Lin clan who dominated the capital. This was something they could have never imagined in the past. What in the world was that fellow? How could he be that powerful? Teacher! Contrary to the shock of the others, the eyes of Mu Xueqing and the others were glowing, and they clenched their fists in excitement. All that lingered in their minds was a voice that kept shouting, "He is my teacher." My teacher managed to destroy formations with a single kick and vanquished the Lin clan which dominated the capital. My teacher, with his powerful sword Qi, was able to even render a half-Jesuan expert helpless. How lucky and proud they were to have such a teacher. As their hearts trembled in agitation, their eyes suddenly fell on a few other people. They were Xianxia, Xingyang, and group. Xiaowai, I know that Xianxia is formidable, but is he capable of unleashing sword chi that rendered even a half-Jesuan helpless and stop a grade 3 pinnacle formation with a single kick like Liu Laoxia? With her hands behind her back, Mu Xueqing's eyes shone with excitement. Xianxia was incredible, but he had only managed to reach Xianxia realm a few days ago. On the other hand, not only was there Liu Laoxia a Xianxia realm pinnacle expert, he even managed to subdue the #1 expert of Qianwu Kingdom, Lin Ruotian. The title of the #1 expert in the kingdom rightfully went to him. How your Zhong should be a match for such a person. Liu Laoxia is indeed incredible. Zhao Wei replied calmly. Zhao Wei, why would you? Seeing Mu Xueqing's gleeful look, Xingyang and the others were infuriated. They thought that Zhao Wei would refute the other party, but never in their dreams did they think that she would admit it directly. This caused their faces to flush in anxiety. Don't worry. Liu Laoxia may be incredible, but our Zhong Laoxia isn't inferior in any way. Knowing that Liu Laoxia and Zhong Laoxia were the same person, there was no need for them to argue over this matter anymore. Since teacher had intentionally hidden his identity, not even notifying them of the matter, it wasn't Zhao Wei's place to expose him then. Harumphing coldly, Zhao Wei turned around. Boom! A powerful aura surged forth from her. The strength belonging to a Xianxia realm intermediate stage rushed at Mu Xueqing and the others as though a massive wave. Xianxia realm intermediate stage. Wasn't she still at Pishua realm a few days ago? How did she jump 2 realms all of a sudden? This is the result of Zhongshi's guidance. Sensing the aura from Zhao Wei, the crowd fell into a commotion once more. Due to the uproar from the duel between Zhao Wei and Mu Xueqing, the crowd knew that she was only at Pishua realm 2 days ago. To reach Xianxia realm intermediate stage within 2 days. This rate of advancement was way too fast. You! Mu Xueqing's eyes narrowed. Initially, she was indignant when she lost the second duel against the other party, and she thought that she would be able to defeat the other party now that she had reached Tongxian realm. Never in her wildest imaginations did she expect that the other party would have improved as well, and for it to be even more drastic. She had skipped past Tongxian realm to reach Xianxia realm intermediate stage directly. How could she fight against this? Could Zhongshi's guidance truly be that incredible? That's nothing much. 5 days ago, Lu Chong was only Dingli realm primary stage, but he has already reached Xianxia realm intermediate stage already. Meng Dao harumphed. Advancing from Dingli realm primary stage to Xianxia realm intermediate stage in just 5 days. Before the crowd could recover from their shock, another astonishing news blasted at them once more. Liu Laoxia and Zhongxia, aren't the two of you too monstrous? It would already an incredible feat to induce an advancement of one's cultivation by a small stage in just 5 days. Yet, your students leaped through several realms in just a few days. Looks like this Liu Laoxia is as talented as Zhongxia. Indeed, the two of them are on par with one another. They're both incredible geniuses. Actually, I think that Liu Laoxia is more incredible. Inducing a growth from Dingli realm primary stage to Xianxia realm in 5 days is clearly much more difficult than inducing a growth from Pishua realm to Xianxia realm in 2 days. More importantly, he possesses a powerful cultivation. No matter how talented Zhongxia is, his true strength is only at Xianxia realm primary stage. Actually, I think that Zhongxia is more formidable. Just by his feats of bashing through the various stages in the master-teacher examination and breaking all of the records already made him superior to most talents out there. More importantly, he is still young, so he still has a bright future before him. Amidst the crowd, many loyal fans of Zhongshui and Liu Laoxia appeared, and they began to quarrel with one another. Neither side was willing to give in to the other. Escaping in a panic, he soon arrived at a sealed chamber. There was nothing but a white wall in the room. With a flick of his finger, a droplet of fresh blood fell into the aperture on the wall. Wang! A bright light shone, and the wall was activated. It was something similar to the Wall of Dilemma in the Physician Guild and the Wall of Pill Formulae in the Apothecary Guild Communication Wall. Chapter 389. Kongsha's personal letter. A unique formation had been laid out on the communication wall, allowing one to transmit messages to one another instantaneously over long distances. The Wall of Pill Formulae and Wall of Dilemma operated by the same concept as well. The cost of this object was extremely high. Even though it was only a wall, a Grade 3 pinnacle formation was laid out on it. It was through the formation that one could transmit the message from one wall to another. The cost of a single wall was so huge that even the Qianwu royal family couldn't afford it. Only some of the more esteemed guilds were equipped with it. No one could have imagined that there would be one in the Lin clan as well. In order to protect her family, Princess Consort Lin Long was even willing to pay such an immense price. Picking up a brush, he clenched his jaws and wrote a line of words on it. The Lin clan has been besieged by the scoundrel, Liu Cheng. Lin Lang and father are severely injured. Require immediate aid. Who? A bright light shone, and the words slowly faded. After which, Lin Ruotian heaved a huge sigh of relief. A savage glint flashed across his eyes. Liu Cheng and Qianwu royal family. I want you all to pay for all what has happened today. Beside the imperial palace of Shenyuan Kingdom, there was another massive palace. It was the East Palace, otherwise known as Crown Prince Palace. It was where the Crown Prince of Shenyuan Kingdom lived. In a room at the very corner of the palace stood a white wall. It had been quiet for a very long time, but today, a bright light shone, and a few words appeared on it. Something bad happened. Hurry up and inform Her Highness. The face of the guard in charge of the wall warped in panic, and he hurriedly instructed the servants. Other people might not be aware of the purpose of the wall, but he was well aware that it was linked to the old home of the princess consort. For it to be activated all of a sudden, not to mention with such a message, it was clear that something huge had happened. Soon, an elegant-looking lady walked over. Shenyuan Kingdom's princess consort, Lin Lang's elder sister, Lin Long. Father, brother. Seeing the words on it, the lady's body shuddered, and a malicious aura flowed out from her. She was extremely concerned about her family. She didn't think that such a situation would occur since it hadn't been long since she had left Qianwu Kingdom. Liu Cheng? Who is this Liu Cheng? Bellowing furiously, resentment flowed through Lin Long. Hurry up and get General Liang here. Yes. The guards hurriedly walked over. General Liang, Liang Qingming, was the general under the command of the Crown Prince. As a Zhizuan realm advanced expert, he was in charge of the security of the East Palace. Only the Crown Prince and the Princess Consort could issue him commands. Soon, a middle-aged man walked over. His black dress-up and sharp eyes gave him an extremely cold appearance. With just a single glance, shudders would instinctively run down one's spine. Your Highness was looking for me. Bowing politely, Liang Qingming clasped his fist. General Liang, pick 2 experts to accompany me to Qianwu Royal City. Lin Long said. Qianwu Royal City? Liang Qingming asked doubtfully. That's right. My Lin clan has been trampled by others, and my younger brother and my father are severely injured. Make sure to do it fast. Lin Long instructed anxiously. No, 2 experts aren't sufficient. You shall go with me now. Only with your strength will I feel assured. Me? Liang Qingming hesitated. However, the Crown Prince hasn't returned yet. Shouldn't I ask for his permission before leaving? What permission? If you don't hurry, my Lin clan will become history. Lin Long flung her sleeves furiously. Yes. Knowing that the Crown Prince doted greatly on Her Highness, if her clan were to be destroyed, he would be implicated as well. Thus, without hesitating for too long, Liang Qingming nodded. If you're in a rush, we should ride on the Crown Prince's gold-scaled lightning beast. Possessing a strength of Zhizuan realm intermediate stage, it is capable of traveling at high speed. Qianwu Royal City might be slightly far from here, but on it, we can arrive in just 2 days. All right. Lin Long nodded. As a Zhizuan realm savage beast, the Crown Prince's gold-scaled lightning beast was capable of traveling several 10,000 li in a single day. One they might make it in time if they travel on it. Have Grandmaster Beast Tamer Jew follow us, and get him to drive it as fast as he can.
Lin Long instructed once more.
Yes. Liang Qingming turned around to make preparations. In less than an incense's time, a massive savage beast appeared in the courtyard. Lin Long dived into the room on its back, and with a flap of its wings, the savage beast soared into the skies. Pang! Pang! Slowly advancing forward, Zhongxian broke through 7 to 8 formations before reaching the room where Lin Ruotian escaped to. Following behind Zhongxian, Liao Zun got a clear glimpse of the strength of this young man. Regardless of which formation it was, with a single look, he was able to stop it with a kick. This was no longer something that could be described with the word fearsome. It was fortunate that he reacted decisively and turned against the Lin clan on the spot. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. You sure caught up fast. Knowing that they would appear, there wasn't the slightest panic in Lin Ruotian's eyes when the door was opened. Instead, with savagery on his face, he hissed, "However, even if you manage to catch up, do you dare to kill me? I've already informed the princess consort of this matter, and her men will arrive soon. As long as you dare to touch a single strand of my hair, not only will you die, the entire Qianwu kingdom will be buried as well." You mean that if we don't make a move on you, the princess consort will let us get away scot-free? Seeing the confidence on the other party's face, Zhongxian shook his head helplessly. The grudge was already picked, and even if Zhongxian allowed Lin Ruotian to get away, the other party wouldn't let him off. You! He thought that the other party would be hesitant after hearing his words, but all the other party showed was indifference. Lin Ruotian was taken aback. Lu Chong, I'll leave it to you to exact your vengeance. After you're done, look for me at the academy. Liao Zun, you stay here to support him. Zhongxian instructed, not bothering with the arrogant Lin Ruotian. Yes. Lu Chong and Liao Zun nodded. All of the powerful elders had been defeated, and the rest had either escaped or scattered. There were no longer any powerful figures in the Lin clan that were a match for Lu Chong and Liao Zun. Having settled the matter here, Zhongxian slowly walked out of the Lin clan residence. At this moment, the crowd outside had yet to scatter. Upon seeing Zhongxian, admiration glowed on their faces. I am truly thankful for all of your support. He knew that these people were gathered under the effort of his students. Even though they didn't do anything, the fact that they were willing to offend the Lin clan at this crucial timing to back him up made him emotionally indebted to them. Liu Laosha is being too polite. We didn't do anything at all. The crowd immediately bowed their faces flushed in embarrassment. They intended to help Liu Cheng, but in the end, the other party managed to wipe out the Lin clan single-handedly. I, Liu Cheng, am one to repay favors. How about this? I will conduct a lecture here for everyone in gratitude for all of your help. Given the sentiments they had shown, Zhongxian couldn't remain unmoved. A lecture. Delighted, everyone's eyes shone in excitement. Even though this guild master Liu wasn't a master teacher, he was a Xianxia realm pinnacle expert who had comprehended sword heart. His lecture would definitely contribute greatly to their cultivation. The core of cultivation lies in one's heart. Without wasting any time, Zhongxian started speaking. His voice touched the hearts of the crowd, shaking their souls. In order to prevent his true identity from being revealed, he didn't utilize impartation of heaven's will this time. Even so, there were many who managed to achieve a breakthrough in the midst of his lecture. There were at least 100 people who came to back Zhongxian up, and there were 7 of them who managed to achieve a breakthrough. To induce a breakthrough in the crowd in a single lesson, as expected of the most talented master teacher in Qianwu Kingdom. Seeing this sight, Pavilion Master Jiang felt impressed. Despite being a 2-star pinnacle master teacher, he wasn't capable of this feat. The other party's explanation was detailed and simple. Concepts that were often difficult to grasp became exceedingly simple under his explanation. It felt as though the cultivation of others were a huge ball of wool, whereas he had managed to sort it out neatly into strand after strand. Under his explanation, it felt as though they were given a glimpse into the essence of cultivation. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for them not to improve. Incredible! To think that the lecture of Liu Laosha isn't inferior to Zhongxia at all. Indeed. I found myself a new idol today. Hearing Liu Laotia's lecture, Zheng Yang, Yuan Dao, and Liu Yang fell into a trance. In the past, they had always known that Zhong Laotia was the greatest teacher in the world, and that all other teachers were trash before him. However, at this moment, they realized that there was a much larger world outside the one they knew. Zhong Laotia was formidable, but it would be hard for him to triumph over this Liu Laotia. It was laughable that they had always thought that the other party was unworthy of his reputation. Do you think that Zhong Laotia's lesson is better, or that Liu Laotia's lesson is better? Seeing the expression of the group, Zhao Wei shook her head helplessly and asked with a bizarre look. The both of them are good. With a scarlet face, Zheng Yang replied. He wanted to say that Zhong Laotia was better, but the lesson of this Liu Laotia wasn't inferior to their teachers in any way. Forget it, you all go figure it out yourselves. Since teacher didn't say anything, Zhao Wei couldn't be bothered to explain either. Turning around, Zhao Wei and Wang Ying left together, leaving behind 3 dumbfounded guys behind. After completing the lesson, Zhong Xian returned to Qianwu Academy. Not too long later, Lu Chong walked up to him, and with slightly reddened eyes and a trembling body, he knelt to the floor. All of the words that he had wanted to say seemed to converge into a single one: teacher. It was because of his teacher that he had a chance to exact his vengeance and found the purpose of his existence. It was because of teacher that his parents were able to rest peacefully in the earth, and that he will not be ashamed to meet them when he finally reunites with them. Finding such a good teacher was the best thing that the heavens had given him. Stand up. On the classroom, Zhong Xian looked at him gently. You should be able to tell me why the Lin clan had to eradicate your clan now, right? Even though Lu Chong's elder sister had castrated Lin Lang, the Lin clan, in consideration of their reputation, shouldn't go to the extent of destroying an entire clan consisting of more than 100 members. Most probably, there was another more compelling reason. Back then, in the royal palace, Mo Qianxue and Mo Yu were around, so Lu Chong didn't mention the matter. The duo didn't realize anything, but Zhong Xian still noticed that something was amiss. Teacher, it's true that the Lin clan didn't destroy my Chu clan because of that matter. It's because of an heirloom in my clan. Without any hesitation, Lu Chong immediately revealed the truth. Given how much his teacher had done for him, he had decided that he wouldn't hide anything from him. Heirloom. Zhong Xian frowned. Yes, it's an ancestor's handwritten letter. Lu Chong replied. Ancestor's handwritten letter. Zhong Xian was perplexed. Why would the Lin clan want a handwritten letter from your ancestors? This letter was most probably a letter Lu Chong's ancestor left to his offspring. But why would the Lin clan fight for it, even going to the extent of wiping out an entire clan? The handwritten letter of our ancestor indeed isn't worth much, but within the letter is the handwritten reply from Kong Shi. Lu Chong explained. Kong Shi's handwritten words. Zhong Xian was taken aback, and his head turned blank. Chapter 390. Spirit Blood Body Nourishment Formula. Empyrean Kong Shi was the founder of the Master Teacher Pavilion, the #1 person in history. The value of his handwritten words was invaluable. To think that his handwritten reply would be in a letter of the Chu clan ancestors. Putting aside the Lin clan, even the entire Shenyuan kingdom would go into a frenzy over it. All of Zhong Xian's doubts were immediately answered as well. Lu Chong had tried to hide himself, changed his name, and gone to the extent of pretending to be a mute, but given the immense influence the Lin clan wielded in the capital, they were more than capable of tracking him down. It was impossible for Lu Chong to live beneath their noses for 2 years without realizing a thing. From the looks of it, it seemed like the Lin clan had intentionally left him alive so that they could use him to find the handwritten letter. They probably knew about Lu Chong's mediocre talent as well, and knowing that he was incapable of exacting vengeance, they left him be. They couldn't have imagined that Lu Chong would meet with Zhong Xian, and that the insignificant figure whom they thought nothing of would bring ultimate doom to their clan. Your ancestors were acquainted with Kong Shi. After comprehending the situation, Zhong Xian continued asking. Why would Kong Shi write his ancestor a reply for no reason? I'm not too sure about the details, and I haven't seen the letter myself either. My father has only vaguely told me about it in the past. Lu Chong continued. The letter currently isn't in my old clan or on me. It's hidden by my ancestors in the depths of a mountain range. If teacher wants it, I can hand it over to you. This handwritten letter was left behind by the Chu clan's ancestors. Even when facing impending death, the Chu clan was unwilling to hand it over to the Lin clan. Yet, Lu Chong was willing to hand it over to his teacher without any hesitation. Forget it. Even though Xianxia handwritten words are valuable, it's of no use to me. Zhong Xian shook his head. Xianxia's handwritten words might be an unparalleled treasure to the others, to the extent that they would kill one another over it, but to Zhong Xian, it was nothing at all. No matter how formidable the letter was, could it match up to the golden page of the Book of Heaven's Path? To Zhong Xian, given that it couldn't contribute to his cultivation, it was just something he could sell for a lot of money. Besides, it belonged to his student. For this, Lu Chong's entire clan was destroyed. Zhong Xian hadn't stooped down to the level of vying with his student over his fortune. I've been rude. Hearing his teacher's words, Lu Chong's face flushed. He had seen his teacher's sincerity toward him, and it should have been clear that he didn't do it for the ancestor handwritten letter. To bring up this matter seemed as though Lu Chong was sounding Zhong Xian out instead. Choosing not to dawdle on this problem, Zhong Xian glanced at Lu Chong. He had left right after conducting his lecture back then, so he didn't know how Lu Chong chose to deal with the Lin clan. I didn't kill them. Instead, I had Hall Master Liao cripple their cultivation entirely. Lu Chong replied. Even though he was adamant to exact his vengeance so that his kin could live in peace, he knew that he would be letting them off too easily if he were to just kill them. The Lin clan had been arrogant in the past few years, and they had offended many people. Given that their cultivation had been crippled, and that they no longer had formations to protect them, even if Lu Chong didn't kill them personally, this powerful clan would soon disappear in the tides of history. On top of that, by choosing not to kill them, he could protect his teacher's honor as well. UN. Hearing how Lu Chong dealt with the Lin clan, Zhong Xian nodded in satisfaction. After undergoing this incident, his student had matured. If he were to kill the entire Lin clan, that would be granting them relief. Crippling their cultivation and allowing them to live on in such a manner was probably much more painful to them than death. Teacher, this is what we confiscated from the Lin clan. Lu Chong took out a storage ring and presented it to Zhong Xian. Being the previous #1 clan in Qianwu Kingdom, it possessed many treasures in its residence. As it would be a huge waste to leave those lying in the residence for others to grab, he chose to store them all into his storage ring and bring it to his teacher. As for the ring, he took it off Lin Ruotian's finger. Zhong Xian took the ring. He wasn't interested in his student's possession, but he didn't feel any guilt taking the possessions of the Lin clan. After all, the Lin clan would have done the same if they were in his place. Dripping a droplet of blood to claim possession of the ring, Zhong Xian protruded his consciousness into the ring, and a vast space immediately appeared before him. It was much larger than his previous ring, and it was around the size of 100 meters. As expected of the Lin clan, so many gold coins. Quickly sweeping across the area, gold coin was stacked into towering mountains, and its quantity definitely numbered over 1 billion. But of course, the most valuable items weren't the gold coins, but the various formations, weapons, and pills. Spirit stones. Quickly sweeping across the area, Zhong Xian's eyes suddenly lit up. In a corner of the ring, Zhong Xian saw a few spirit stones being placed in a jade box. By the corner, a small amount of spiritual energy was emitting from it. Counting them, there was a total of 10 of them. It was even more than the amount he got from the Qianwu royal family. With so many spirit stones, I should be able to reach at least half Zhizuan. Zhong Xian chuckled gleefully. While half Zhizuan realm was just a small realm above that of Xianxia realm pinnacle, the spiritual energy requirement was even more than the entire Xianxia realm added up together. Zhong Xian was still frustrated thinking about where he could look for spirit stones when the Lin clan solved his problems. I should check if there are any cultivation techniques or secret manuals. Zhong Xian continued browsing through the various objects in the area. To him, there were only 2 things that were important to him now. Firstly, spirit stones. Secondly, cultivation techniques and secret manuals. And naturally, the greater the quantity, the better it was for him. There seems to be a lot of books on formations in here. Soon, Xianxia's eyes fell upon a huge collection of books on formations placed on bookshelves. As a distinguished clan of formation masters, their collection of such books probably exceeded that of even the capital's Formation Master Guild. Quickly taking them into his collection, Xianxia's eyes fell on the final bookshelf. As I thought, there are cultivation technique manuals on half Xizuan realm and Xizuan realm. On the very end of the bookshelf was where the most powerful Lin clan heirloom cultivation techniques and battle techniques were placed. Among them were half Xizuan and Xizuan realm cultivation technique. However, the number was severely lacking. There were only slightly more than a dozen half Xizuan realm manuals and 2 Xizuan realm manuals. Even so, it's still worth collecting. Other people would be delighted to see these cultivation technique, but they were of little use to Xianxia. Even so, every manual still counted. He decided to look at their contents first. Every book that his finger came into contact with would form an identical book in the Library of Heaven's Path. Compile. Then, he compiled the dozen or so half Xizuan book together to form a single one. With a single look, he fell speechless. There were too few correct sentences, so the technique formed couldn't be cultivated at all. Forget it. Putting aside achieving a breakthrough, Xianxia might even die if he were to cultivate this technique. Knowing this, Xianxia immediately lost all interest. What is that? Just as Xianxia was about to retract his consciousness from the storage ring, he saw a small jade bottle placed at the corner of the ring. It wasn't too big, and it was inconspicuous compared to all of the objects in the storage ring, but it was made of the top-quality spirit harnessing jade which carried the attribute of warmth. With a swift movement, the jade bottle appeared in his hand. Instead of opening it, Xianxia uttered in his head, "Flaws." A book immediately appeared in the Library of Heaven's Path. Flipping it open, it wrote, "Forged by a 7-mo craftsman using spirit harnessing jade, it has the ability to prevent the decomposition of blood and dissipation of spiritual energy. Stored within it are 2 drops of blood essence from a grade 1 spirit beast, steel-armored dragon." Spirit beast blood essence. Xianxia's eyes lit up, and he nearly jumped up from agitation. When he first fought against Lin Ruoqian, the Library of Heaven's Path clearly detailed that the other party had consumed spirit beast blood essence, granting him overwhelming vitality. Xianxia thought that the other party would have already consumed all of the blood essence. He didn't think that there would still be 2 drops left. Seemed like his daughter, the princess consort, had given him 3 droplets, but given the limitations of his physical condition, he only managed to absorb 1. Even so, it was sufficient to grant him the strength equivalent to a half Xizuan realm pinnacle. There should be an absorption method in here as well. Different from spirit stones, spirit beast blood essence had a special method that one had to use to absorb it so that it would fuse with one's body and augment it. Since the head of the Lin clan had succeeded in doing so, he must possess a suitable absorption technique as well. Harboring such thoughts, Xianxia started rummaging through the entire storage ring, and soon, he found a secret manual hidden in the corner. Written on top of it were 5 big words: Spirit Blood Body Nourishment Formula. Flaws. Collecting it into the Library of Heaven's Path, he immediately flipped through it and he fell speechless once more. This Spirit Blood Body Nourishment Formula seemed incredible, but the flaws in it numbered at several hundred. How in the world did Lin Ruoqian manage to cultivate this technique? Right, there's quite a few books on physical body cultivation in Qianwu Kingdom's book collection vault. Perhaps, if I were to mix all of them together, something good might turn out. Just as Xianxia was intending to dump this book back onto the shelves, a thought suddenly popped into his mind and he froze. He had collected all of the books in Qianwu Kingdom's book collection vault, and there was a sizable collection of physical body cultivation technique manuals in there. Many of these cultivation techniques were superior to that he saw in Master Lu Chen's residence back then. After walking out from the book collection vault, Xianxia immediately went over to the Lin clan to seek justice for Lu Chong. As such, he hadn't had the time to look through it yet. Summoning all of physical body cultivation technique manuals from the library, he overlapped them together with the Spirit Blood Body Nourishment Formula. Compile. A brand new book appeared before Xianxia. He anxiously flipped it open, and the contents appeared before him. By training one's physical body and tempering it with one's junqi, one's physical body could gain the might equivalent to one's Xianxia, or perhaps even higher than that. However, it is difficult to reach higher heights in one's physical body cultivation. By using the blood essence of spirit beast to nourish one's body, one could gain the fearsome physical abilities of a spirit beast. A complete cultivation technique was detailed in the manual. It worked. Briefly browsing through it, Xianxia clenched his fist tightly. Just as he guessed, the spirit blood body nourishment formula could be compiled with the other physical body cultivation technique manuals to form a new Heaven's Path technique. I'll call it Heaven's Path Golden Body 2 Dan. Xianxia immediately gave it a name. The Heaven's Path Golden Body that Xianxia compiled back in Lu Chen's home was powerful, but as his cultivation progressed, its effectiveness was steadily going downhill. On the other hand, this physical body cultivation technique he had just compiled was clearly far superior to the previous Heaven's Path Golden Body. One has to rub the spirit beast blood essence on one's acupoint to absorb its strength and augment one's physical body. Once one succeeds, one would gain immense fighting power. Remembering the contents, Xianxia immediately opened the jade bottle, poured out the 2 drops of blood essence, and following the method detailed in the secret manual, he rubbed it on his acupoints. TZZZZZZZZ. As soon as the blood essence came into contact with Xianxia's skin, a blazing heat immediately seared his skin. Spirit beasts were existences that surpassed the fighter 9 Dans. If one tried to forcibly absorb spirit blood without a suitable absorption technique to go with it, not only would one be unable to improve, one might even die on the spot. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.